Gaming news today is all about hurdles. First, GTA 6 is encountering some challenges in a specific country, and it will require a new dreaded term, age verification. Second, Elder Scrolls 6 is facing challenges and likely delays, and the reason, well, it's not hard to guess. More layoffs. Third, analysts are weighing in on the potential hurdles for PlayStation getting rid of physical, and well, you're not going to like what this analyst has to say. There's also some false information being spread about this particular analyst that is being abused, and, false information basically being used to brigade with community notes. So you should know that much of what you're seeing said about this continues to be largely misrepresented and unproductive. You probably also won't like how players are responding to Black Ops 1 and the Black Ops 2 ports, because it seems like their anger and their rage directed towards PlayStation is already subsiding. So if you like this content and you're watching it later, make sure you are subscribed and make sure you're hitting the like button as well. We do extra content in a Discord, and you need to be a member to get access to that. So consider clicking the join button and also consider clicking the like button as well. And we do stream Monday through Friday every single day. Grand Theft Auto 6 is facing a slight legal hurdle that could fundamentally change how some consumers access mature video games. Meanwhile, a corporate move has fans convinced GTA 6 Trailer 3 is dropping on or before August the 7th. So quickly, let's look at the potential roadblock that Rockstar Games is facing and why international laws are about to collide with the biggest entertainment launch in human history. If you think getting your hands on this game was just a matter of going and clicking pre-order and then waiting for it to be installable, you are going to need to hear about a certain reality facing certain countries, and this one is specifically for Australia. The Australian government now has strict online safety regulations targeting rated 18 plus classified content. What this means is that Rockstar Games cannot just put an age gate on their website or a checkbox that says, hey, are you 18? Instead, they are legally required to implement a mandatory age verification system. This could be facial recognition scans or requiring players to upload copies of passports or some form of government ID to a third-party verification portal just to unlock the game or to purchase it. If you live in Australia, this is not hypothetical. This is the reality that is being built and worked for right now. The challenge doesn't just end there, though. If Rockstar fails to enforce this properly, Take-Two Interactive faces huge civil penalties of up to $49.5 million per breach. And that wording is important. Per breach does not mean a flat line for the whole year. It would be every single time this happens for every single consumer that somehow gets past it. It could be a multi-billion-dollar legal problem. Rockstar is currently forced to divert resources and time away from the actual game into building a digital custom barrier just to avoid getting fined by international regulators. According to the reports I read, even if somebody figures out how to bypass what they have built, they could still end up facing those fines. But it's not all dark and worrying. Wall Street is dropping some hints that marketing could begin and pick up pace. Take-Two Interactive just adjusted their Q1 corporate calendar, scheduling their next investor earnings call for Friday, August the 7th at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. Now, corporate earnings calls are notorious for being rigid, boring, and just sort of routine. They almost always happen on a Tuesday or a Thursday afternoon, completely after the New York Stock Exchange closes. Why is that? Well, executives want to report their numbers, let the market digest the data overnight, and avoid sudden panic selling while trading floors are active. Shifting an earnings call to a Friday morning might be before the opening bell because it's a bit of an anomaly. They're doing this for maybe other reasons. Now, we have had some other calls landing at 8 in the morning previously. This could mean that Take-Two is expecting an immediate and explosive positive reaction from the market the second trading opens. That could mean that GTA 6 Trailer 3 lands on that Thursday or that Friday morning. Also, remember, many started speculating about August after Strauss-Zelnick pointed to the summer being when things would heat up for the marketing. Tom Henderson from Insider Gaming even said he believed it would be happening in August. So we'll have to wait and see if that's when they decide to break the seal on the third GTA 6 trailer. The sheer scale of GTA 6 means it's no longer just a video game, it's a macroeconomic event. But I want to hear from you guys. If a game developer forced you to scan your face or upload your driver's license just to play it, well, would you do it or would you draw the line? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, smash the like, hit subscribe, and be sure to stop by one of my live streams. But that's not the only story. The next story is not so good. More bad news on the Xbox front. The Elder Scrolls 6 is almost certainly facing an internal delay following a brutal round of Xbox layoffs that have gutted core development teams at Bethesda. Today we have to look at the reality hidden behind the corporate PR at Microsoft and explain exactly why short-sighted boardroom cost-cutting is actively jeopardizing the development of Elder Scrolls 6 and destroying more creative legacy. If you were holding out hope that we'd see a gameplay reveal or release date anytime soon, I hate to break it to you, but that probably isn't happening. This is also on the heels of already hearing from insiders that the Elder Scrolls 6 was still years away. To understand why the Elder Scrolls 6 is in danger or even a delay or maybe even worse, we need to talk about the human cost of Microsoft's recent restructuring. Xbox just laid off over 50 developers at Bethesda. Now, in an industry where layoffs have sadly become common, a corporate suit will tell you that a reduction of 50 people is just streamlining operations. But game development is not just raw numbers, it's all about institutional knowledge. Among the names included in this sweeping cut was senior lead character artist who has been with Bethesda since Morrowind came out in 2002. That's like 24 years ago. Really think about that. Just like id Software, we are seeing long-standing veteran devs being let go. Why? Well, probably because they have a large salary, so they ended up at the top of a spreadsheet, and they were ripe for the picking. The suits in the Microsoft boardroom look at game development like a factory line. They assume that an animator or an artist is just a line item on a spreadsheet that you can lay off an expensive 20-year veteran, save that money on your quarterly reports, and then just hire cheap entry-level contract workers to fill the empty desks. But the corporate logic completely falls apart when it collides with big, long-standing studios with internal institutional knowledge. As any gamer knows, Bethesda Games run on the creation engine. Just like id Software, folks familiar with the proprietary tech are getting walked out the door. And don't believe these people who are trying to minimize what happened to id Software because of alleged claims there's some studio that still is working on the ID tech. They are a subsidiary. They're not a subsidiary. They are a sub-studio that merely helps. I trust the people at id Software. Stop letting people spin an AstroTurf and defend Microsoft. The people at id made it clear. They have basically gutted the entire company. Quit trying to minimize what Microsoft has done. It's embarrassing. This will almost assuredly slow things down for Elder Scrolls 6 as well. It's going to have very similar impacts. When you fire the people who built the tools, the remaining development team doesn't just keep moving forward. They have to figure out new ways of fixing things or figure out things on their own, especially if they are a new hire. All those little technical errors that can occur, well, developers that are left behind can't just walk down the hall and ask the veteran who maybe wrote the original code. That veteran is gone. This is why brain drain and a loss of institutional knowledge is bigger than just having less workforce bandwidth, especially if you start using more contractors. They're transient. They're less knowledgeable about the studio and its tools and its processes. Microsoft bought ZeniMax and Bethesda for $7.5 billion with the explicit promise that they were going to give these studios the financial stability and resources to make their dream games. Instead, the pressure of maintaining Microsoft's perpetual growth stock model has resulted in the corporate monetization teams gutting the very talent required to deliver those games. We already knew The Elder Scrolls 6 was years away, with a tentative internal window floating around 2028. But you cannot strip a studio of members of its creative core, replace its longest-serving pillars with high-turnover temporary staff, and expect a masterpiece to arrive on time. But sadly, this is the new Microsoft way. This isn't just an administrative shuffle. This is a fundamental disruption to creative workflow of one of the most anticipated games from Bethesda. At this rate, an internal push to 2029 or even 2030 is looking very possible, and that makes other fears crop up. Since Xbox wants big ROI, the longer a project lasts, the greater chance it could get shelved because it's just getting too expensive. So, just like my thoughts on id Software, you simply cannot treat long-standing creative studios like replaceable assembly lines and expect to produce another Skyrim. So, I've shared my thoughts. What do you think? Do you still have faith in The Elder Scrolls 6, and can it even make it? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments section, and as always, try to catch one of my live streams. But that's not the only story this morning. PlayStation and the feudal physical fight. While the widespread fan protests against PlayStation completely killing off physical media are continuing, but the harsh reality is that your outrage is likely not going to change Sony's mind. If you think your physical game collection is safe just because you prefer owning the disc, you need to look at the numbers behind all of this. Right now, hundreds of thousands of passionate gamers are signing petitions, organizing social media brigades, and demanding that PlayStation reverse course in response to Sony's plans entirely to phase out the manufacturing and the distribution of physical Blu-ray game discs by January of 2028. The anger from the community is completely valid. I get why you're angry, and I do not like consumers losing their choices. We're looking at a very challenging future regarding video game preservation as well as ownership. When you buy a digital game, you don't actually own the game. You are purchasing a temporary revocable license. We've seen digital storefronts close down, the delisting of games entirely, and the removal of movies and music from consumer libraries. Gamers are rightfully scared of a future where corporations can pull a plug and delete your library with the click of a button. But here's the cold hard truth. Sony doesn't care. To understand why these protests are basically shouting into the void, we have to look directly at the data. It isn't just that every year digital sales are going up and physical sales are going down. More and more indie and AA studios are completely skipping a physical release. Well, why? Well, the margin split is half of what they get on a digital sale. And when your price point's lower, because you're a smaller studio, that math does not math out in favor of the dev or the publisher. And when you're selling bigger titles with millions of copies being purchased, knowing that you need 2 physical sales to match the margins of just 1 digital sale, well, it becomes an easy decision. But it's even more dire than what folks were hoping if you're thinking the decision could be reversed. When Sony made the quiet announcement to their investors that they were preparing to downsize the physical media manufacturing facilities, look at what happened to their stock price. It did not plummet, it went up. Wall Street is rewarding the pivot. And the math per game sales getting worse when you think about how shipping physical games will get more expensive every year between now and when this decision makes landfall. Meaning you need to sell more physical copies to match just 1 video game sale digitally. And Sony's perspective on the math is certainly shifting. They recently said they are focusing on MAU, but also customer lifetime value. They want you buying games, and the more money they make off of you, the more value you have. That's not very fun to hear, but that's the facts. When a physical game disc is sold at a retail store, it also doesn't work out in Sony's favor. Walmart, Target, wherever it's being sold, Sony has to pay for the raw plastic, the disc pressing, the paper cover art, the shipping crates, the fuel for the delivery trucks, and they have to give a cut to the retail store itself. But when you buy that exact same game directly through the PlayStation Network store, all those middlemen vanish. Sony keeps a 30% cut of every single piece of software sold on their digital closed ecosystem. And if it's a first-party game, well, they keep 100% of the revenue. They save millions, if not billions of dollars annually by killing off the physical disk drive. To add an incredibly cynical layer to this entire situation, look at what Sony's executive leadership did immediately following the announcement. The PlayStation CEO, Hiroki Totoki, literally sold over half of his personal stock options, locking in millions of dollars in personal profit right as the corporate pivot was solidified. Now, my personal theory is that Hiroki Totoki is getting ready to retire, as the oncoming challenges for hardware are going to be particularly challenging for companies like Sony. So if you think this plan can be thrown in reverse, it has a lot working against it. One of the biggest games of the generation is digital only. The standard physical box for GTA 6 sitting on the store shelves doesn't even contain a disc. Instead, it will feature a plastic case and a digital download code. Major retailers are already actively shrinking their physical video game aisles. The infrastructure required to manufacture, ship, and sell physical games is being actively dismantled right in front of our eyes, and a petition cannot compete with a multi-billion-dollar profit margin expansion. And one analyst, according to Insider Gaming, did a report 6 entire years ago that pointed to this future. Quote, in a report published in 2020, Dr. Serkin Toto broke down the economics behind physical and digital game sales. While the exact figures fluctuate and aren't publicly disclosed by Sony, he estimated that the company keeps around 65% of the revenue from first-party physical game sales after the retailer cuts off roughly 30%. Digital purchases, by comparison, allow Sony to retain virtually all of the revenue. Now, keep in mind, that was 6 years ago. So the margins for physical versus digital have only gotten worse. They will also then continue to get worse every year going forward. And the biggest and the most relevant recent part of the outrage over digital, I don't think it's going to hold. Why? Well, Black Ops 1 and the Black Ops 2 digital ports landed, and PlayStation's Twitter post about it looked amazingly positive. It seems that people move on pretty quickly. First with some Black Ops ports, and very soon with an even bigger game known as GTA 6. The convenience of the digital marketplace was sadly a trap, and the mass market, myself included, well, we walked into it. We left all of you physical collectors stranded. The true fight going forward is for digital ownership and better consumer protection. We need digital games defined as a product and not a revocable license, and we need to be able to refund them within a reasonable amount of time, the way that Steam does it. But I want to know where you stand on this. Have you already fully transitioned to a digital library, or will you refuse to buy a console if it doesn't have a disc drive? Sound off in the comment section, smash like, and be sure to swing by a live stream. And that's it for the show. Open good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Guys, thank you so much for being here. And if you haven't hit the like button yet, do me a favor. Hit that like button. We've only been streaming for about 15 minutes, and there's already a good number of you here. Let's get those first 100 likes. The world needs lambs. I mean, the world needs people. What are you talking about? Chrono, what's good? Xbox better. What's good, Snow? Good morning to you. People that are working and lurking. Thank you so much for being here. Always appreciate you guys supporting the show. Make sure that your things are up to date. Make sure that your memberships are up to date. Make sure that you've hit the like button. You guys can get us started on the actual goal for the week. Or actually, hang on, let me get that up and running. I think we've already got a couple of people this morning. Joker Quinn gifts a member and gets us to 242. Dwayne with a VIP. 50 months, he says. I can't even count that high. Smash the like button, y'all. Thank you, Dwayne. And then a 5 super chat from the OA. Guys, I'm new to the Xbox ecosystem. Can you explain how do I use quick resume and play anywhere with physical media? Wink, wink. Ain't no reason to be rude like that. Quick resume should still work with your physical media if the game's been installed, right? I just care. I don't care. I just thought that it fit. Always, always good to put things where they go, right? My favorite take so far is from content creators is that Sony is somehow scared to respond to the Twitter outrage. Yeah, I don't think that they're scared of the Twitter outrage. I just don't think they pay it any mind because they know it'll die down. I mean, that's just basic psychology, right? Like, you can't stay angry forever. And I think they just knew people will get over this. They're not going to stay angry for forever. A game's going to come that they're going to make an exception for. And right on the heels of this announcement, they had, fan favorite Call of Duties getting ported. I mean, that's going to have an effect. Have you seen the Windows Central article on id Software? Yeah, I think it's incredibly misleading. They're trying to tell people that it's being exaggerated. It's not being exaggerated. I trust the id Software people that were laid off more than I trust Windows Central and some random tweet from a fanboy who's like, oh, there's still tons of people working on the engine. We do not have a scope of what that team in Frankfurt even does with the engine. They're like a support team. They are not a core team. they're a support team that is being grossly misrepresented. People are like, oh, it's being overstated and exaggerated. No, it's not. You are already seeing people run Defense Force, and I'm freaking tired of it. I'm just so sick of it. I trust the id Software employees before I trust an outlet or somebody on Twitter who's been on Defense Force. The guy that started this, I already had him blocked on Twitter, which means he's one of the people that like came after me and said nasty things in the past. It's like, I just blocked people like that. That's the source of all this information. He goes and he finds a Frankfurt location of people. It's a support studio that works on the engine. We don't know what they do with the engine. We don't know if they're actual, deep architects or engineers of it. We just know they're a support studio. id Software employees are who I'm going to trust on this. I'm not trusting that. Yeah, I saw John Cormack's tweet. The digital rights need to be, the petition says Fruchter. Going forward, consumers should be able to treat digital games media as tradable assets. Think cryptocurrency. I think that's the long shot, Fruchter. I think we need to fight for true ownership for preservation purposes, and we need to fight for refunds first. I think fighting for the ability to trade your digital games is a longer shot. I think you got to do that second. King Luxor, thank you so much for doing a brand new membership to the channel. I appreciate it so much. And thank you for being here. If you guys decide to do a membership, hit that join button. It's $5 and it supports me directly. And you get access to the Discord. The Frankfurt team also had layoffs. We don't even know how many people were laid off. The people are just immediately running to being like, oh, the id Software situation's been overstated. There's still people working on the engine. Just stop it. Stop being so quick to cope and to cover this up or make it seem like it's fine. It's just annoying. I can't stand it. Thank you, Hissing Badger, for 10 stream streak. Thank you, Eldest One, for a 5 stream streak. Thank you, Snake Eyes, for a 5 stream streak, as well as Picard. You guys basically watched all week, and I appreciate it. Windows Central is Microsoft's main propaganda machine. I'm not saying it's propaganda. I'm saying it's being misrepresented. They're acting like, oh, everybody's exaggerating, calm down. No, don't tell anybody to calm down. Your job is not to tell people to calm down. Your job is not to tell people that it's being exaggerated. Your job is to give people the facts. And the facts are 76% of id Software was laid off, and veteran people were like, there's really nobody left. So you got a support studio in Frankfurt that you want to run to try to run damage control on this to make it seem like id Software's okay. I just think people need to stop. Like, it's just embarrassing. You're doing this with the disc. I'm not doing this with the disc. I said I hate that people are losing their choice, but it's inevitable. If you look at the finances behind it, I mean, I buy AA and indie titles all the time digitally, and I know that indie studios do it because they get a better margin. They get twice as much money on a game sold digitally versus physically, right? And these bigger companies are now facing even rising costs, which means the split gets even worse. So, like, listen, you can boycott, you can scream, you can yell. I think the ultimate issue is digital ownership. When I buy an indie title or a AA title, right, they don't have the money. They don't have it in their budget to do physical, right? So I have to buy their game digitally to support them. I should own that. I should be protected with my purchase. That's what we should be fighting for. Xbox can't support all these studios, which is why they're getting cut. False and untrue. Microsoft can support these studios just fine. Microsoft has decided to get rid of these studios because the Game Pass experiment failed. Horrible analysis of the situation. That's not why we're in this scenario. You guys can't spend 6 years bragging about how much money Microsoft has and now go, oh, poor Microsoft can't afford this. And nobody's saying that PlayStation can't afford it. I said indie studios can't afford it. And then when you scale that out to larger games, larger sales, as well as the rising costs, these companies are just going to make that decision. You see, the difference between me and you is I'm willing to say that PlayStation's doing this for money and for profit. I'm willing to speak frankly about PlayStation. That's the difference between me and you. You're not willing to say the frank and honest things about Xbox. You got to turn it into some kind of a different thing or make a false equivalency. Like, I'll just sit here and tell you straight face, they're doing it for the money. PlayStation wants more money. Like, they're protecting customer lifetime value. They want to make more money per customer. That's how they move forward with AI ruining the hardware market and shipping becoming ridiculous because of a war. Like, they're literally making sure they're making more money. I never once said, oh, poor Sony doesn't have enough money to do this. I never once said that. Microsoft is different than Xbox. They are different. Xbox can only have so much to spend. Microsoft doesn't want to give more money. Yes, and the reason Microsoft doesn't want to give more money is because of the bad leadership at Xbox. Microsoft doesn't care for Xbox? That's exactly right. That's exactly right. They don't care. And they spent so much money trying to feed the Game Pass dream that they decided that they were going to pull the plug, and now the bills due. What's good, Ambition? How are you? Happy Friday. Have a nice weekend. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Love your stream. Always have it on. Even though I work, I appreciate it. Microsoft has not wanted money, hence the layoffs. Well, and if you think they're setting up the studios for success, that is not at all what they're doing. I think that they're setting themselves up to have a handful of the biggest pieces of property, and everything else is going to get killed. Wired Rope, thanks for 55 stream streak, and Ambition for the 7 stream streak. I appreciate it. Feel bad leadership. Asha's there to turn it around. I think you keep buying into that hopium, and I think that it's gonna bite you. I think you're gonna be just like the people who thought that ABK was gonna turn it around. You're gonna be just the same. It's gonna be the same thing. And just like the people who defended ABK, I doubt you come back and admit you were wrong. All the people that were wrong about ABK, not a one of those people has come back and admitted they were wrong. They were in here every day doing the same thing you're doing. Not a one of them had the stones to come back in here and say, yeah, Lono, I got that wrong. I was in your chat every day going hard for the ABK deal. They just vanish into thin air. You'll do the same thing. You will. You will not come back here after she's done with that division and say, you were right, she didn't turn things around, she didn't save anything, because that's exactly what you're going to think and feel, which means you'll go vanish like the rest of them. You'll vanish like all the marathon people vanished. People go hard for something, and they defend something, and then when they end up being wrong, they just disappear into thin air. Hardware costs will make cloud gaming more popular? How? How are you going to make cloud gaming more popular? You'll need more server stacks. You'll need more server blades. Do you know what that is? That's hardware. Like, where are you going to get the hardware to expand cloud if hardware gets completely choked by these AI companies? Phil wrecked Xbox. Who knows if it's fixable? I think Phil picked up a dying division, and he did his absolute best. I think he just took the ship from one glacier to another. I don't necessarily think if you can lay it all at his feet. He just took, it was like a game of ping pong, right? It's like, the Don Matrick era runs the ship right into a glacier, and Phil turns the wheel, and for a while it seemed like things were going well, but he was doing the same thing. He was going to drive the boat right into a glacier. And I think Asha's going to take the boat to the bottom of the ocean, and there'll be very few survivors. Hi, I'm Marathon people. I think you know what I mean. Like the people that just refused to admit where Marathon was headed. You guys know what I mean when I say that. There were people that refused to admit that the ABK deal was bad. They just refused to admit it, and they won't come back around. You guys admit that Marathon's not in a great place, and you had no problem all along the way saying that things didn't look very good. The people that just refused and dug their heels in, they just vanish. Like, they don't come back. It's like they did the same thing with ABK. I'm telling you right now, the people who defend Asha as their queen and she's going to turn things around, they're going to do the same thing. And if you guys are here for GTA 6, hopefully you don't live in Australia, because if you do and you want to buy GTA 6, you're probably going to have to go through the age verification, which a lot of people don't want to do. Read my comment, please, says Collide. As physical, I own the master code. Spawnwave Moore's Law responds to this, and it false that physical can be locked to the system. Sony won't do that, so don't think that. Even Mouse PI said you own it. The Mouse PI devs and Spawnwave and Moore's Law is dead have no say on the future of PlayStation hardware or their operating system. It is 100% baked into their TOS. They can lock you down. They can lock you down to where your disc will only work if you log into your profile and agree to their new terms of service. And they could make their terms of service completely non-consumer friendly. Like, I think people are in for a rude awakening if they think having a physical disc gives them tons of power. You know, Gavin says, within 3 years, Asha will go take all the blame for the state of Xbox and get replaced by someone named Matt Cox. Hear me now, quote me later. Matt Ball, Matt Booty, and Matt Cox. That's what they need. They need the hat trick. They need the Matt trick. You know, and that sounds like Don Matt trick, which is not what I'm trying to say. I'm literally saying hat trick, but I'm making a play on words because they'd all be named Matt. Do you consider any blame to companies like NVIDIA who use AI for DLSS, etc. for the rising cost of these chips? Listen, there's absolutely no way I'm going to detangle that web and tell you who has the most blame, who has some of the blame, who has 5% of the blame. I'm not going to be able to unweave that sweater and do that for you, okay? I don't know if I would blame NVIDIA using AI for DLSS. What seemingly has happened is the RAM shortage has been basically, it could be manufactured. We don't know. Some of the companies are being sued, right? So, Sony bears some responsibility for what? What are you even talking about? They bear some responsibility with what? Their TOS that's doesn't really let you own anything? Yeah, I would say they own all the responsibility. They've set the TOS up completely in their favor. Clip that. Like, they deserve all the blame. They're the ones that set the TOS up. It's theirs. Yeah. They don't want you to own anything, bro. That's what people don't understand. It's like I've been saying the whole time, like, you're just defending Sony. How am I defending Sony? I'm saying that we need to be legally protected because Sony doesn't want you to own anything. They've literally got it set up so that the house always wins. What the heck? I've never once acted like Sony's not to blame for their own TOS and the way they treat digital. The whole time I've said we need to be protected from the way that these companies treat these games. People just assume that I'm defending Sony because they think, oh, you're defending the decision on discs. And I'm like, I'm not. It's inevitable. And if it's inevitable, we need better protections. Like, if you listen to the people in the know talk about the physical situation, you just have to give it up. It's over. It's over. It's like we could get a few more miles out of the car and it's on fire. It's like, no, don't even try to get back in the vehicle. What are you doing? Your thoughts on Asha's new job? It's terrifying. You know, the AI queen of Xbox is going to be a part of some governing, some board in America's government. Oh my gosh, great. Can't wait. These corporations are only doing what the consumers want. I mean, they're doing what they feel that most consumers will continue to engage with, Mass. I don't think they're doing what consumers want. There are tons of consumers that even have a digital library. They're like, I don't want you to take away physical. It was about Marathon. No, Sony doesn't. You know what's funny is at this point, people that want to lay Bungie and Marathon and Destiny at Sony's feet, I'm just gonna start laughing at you and be like, okay, you're one of them. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this with you. You know that Bungie and Marathon and the State of Destiny has nothing to do with Sony. They got acquired because they were financially run aground and they were overspending. And they insisted on a contract that allowed them to work independent. Sony had nothing to do with any of those things going on. Sony's the only reason that Bungie didn't shut down 4 years ago. Like, you know all these things. Sony greenlit Marathon, lie. And fully backed its development at launch, lie. There you go. It took you how long today, Jimmy? You're not saying true things. You're saying lies. Those are not true statements. Sony greenlit Marathon. Really? That's interesting. According to Bungie, it was greenlit 7 years ago in 2019, but sure. Wired rope with a 10 bomb over there on purple. You guys can only support your positions with lies. Like, it's just, that's all you can do. You're like, well, Sony greenlit Marathon. No, they didn't. What are you talking about? That's completely fabricated. Concord, was that what you guys are going to do for the rest of your lives? You guys are going to be on your deathbed, and you're going to be holding your Master Chief plushie, and you're going to go, Concord, do you guys remember Concord? And they're going to be like, bless his heart, he gets a little delusional later in the day. We don't really know what he's talking about. Actively pushing misinformation? Yeah, it's frickin' tiring. Like, stop pushing out things that aren't true. It's ridiculous. PlayStation greenlit marathon. That's fan fiction. Nobody at Bungie would even agree to that. They'd be like, what are you talking about? We greenlit marathon. They started the incubation projects in 2019. Pete Parsons literally said this. This is all a matter of public record, and you guys just shove your heads in the sand and go, yeah, Sony, though. It's embarrassing. You guys look silly at this point. Single gifted from DK Bager. We're 20 away from the next milestone. You guys have got a lot of work to do if you want a Saturday stream. Sales will change their regulations when people stop buying consoles in general. I mean, I don't necessarily think they're all that concerned with getting mass adoption of the PlayStation 6 as much as they're more concerned with how much money you spend in their ecosystem. They're more worried about lifetime customer value, or the customer lifetime value. It's the CLTV, customer lifetime value. So how much money you spend is way more important. The legal mandate requires companies to purge user data they no longer reasonably need. Oh, are you talking about the thing where they get rid of the 3-year thing? I'm not even talking about that. Every company does that. Google does that. Yeah, Microsoft does that. They all do that. After so long, they get rid of accounts that have gone dormant. That's not unique to Sony. $5 from the OA. Bit of trivia. Brazil outlawed selling loot boxes to underage kids, and because of that, all consoles here have age verification baked into the system. There you go. Concord's a blip of a blip of a blip. They'll just keep bringing that up. Cowboy says, now I see why MBG is getting so much backlash. What's he getting backlash for? What regulators? This is not even a monopoly. I don't think we need regulators for a monopoly, but regulators do more than regulate monopolies, brother. Regulators put into place consumer protection laws. Okay, so there's all sorts of food laws in place to keep us safe. That's a form of consumer protection law that keeps you safe, so that when you go and buy a cheeseburger, you know that they're not mixing in, rat droppings with it, right? They get health inspected and all of the rest. That's all done in an effort to protect the consumer. Consumer protection laws are needed here. We don't have actual digital protections. We don't actually own anything, and that's a problem. I may run for Congress on the slogan, vote for me and I'll make sure you own your games. You'd get elected tomorrow if it was up to Twitter. Astrocross has been pounding the table that the whole Marathon Destiny situation is mostly Sony's fault for months at this point. I have a lot of respect for Astrocross, but he's 100% wrong. It has nothing to do with Sony. I don't know how Astrocross can sit in the chair. Well, he doesn't sit. He stands, right, when he streams. I don't know how he can stand there and do that. I don't know how you can watch Pete Parsons openly admit he ran the company into the ground, listen to Bungie employees say that they were going to be financially in a dire situation if they didn't get purchased by Sony, and be like, this is all Sony's fault. So let me get this straight. And I would say this to Astrocross if he was on the show with me. I'd be like, let me get this straight, brother. You think that Sony wasn't just supposed to save Bungie from financial ruin, allow them to function independently. They were also supposed to take on almost $1 million of an impairment loss on the asset that they purchased. Oh, also, they absorbed 200-something people into SIE. They also absorbed operational costs of LFG and spun up the Gummy Bear project to keep it going so that all those people didn't lose their jobs. And when everything runs aground and their Marathon project is failing and Destiny's on its last leg, they're supposed to what? Spend more money than they already have? It doesn't make any sense at all. That's what I would ask him. What do you expect Sony to do after all those things, after all those chains of events? Creature says that's not Astacross's position at all. Like, if you guys are misrepresenting his position, I'm interacting with the position that plenty of people hold, whether it's Cross or in your mind you think Cross thinks that. I'm saying the same thing to you that I would say to any content creator that thinks that. You're looking at this thing so backwards. Like, PlayStation is the only reason that there's even a whisper of a hope of a prayer that you get a Destiny 3. They're the only reason there's a chance, because Bungie was in trouble. They were in trouble. He assigns blame for different things to different people. Most just see the loud bits about Sony that he does. At this point, blaming Sony for anything, I would need very particular reasoning as to why you'd blame Sony for anything right now. Bungie ran the boat into the ground multiple times. Multiple times. Like, at this point, the only thing you could be mad at Sony for is not greenlighting Destiny 3, pulling the plug on Marathon, and throwing their funding weight. Listen, I said it too. I said they should be entering a publishing arrangement and a publishing deal, figure out a way to build this for $200 to $300 million, and you're going to make your money back. That's the issue. They've got to figure out how to get a game like that off the ground, but they also have to figure out operationally how to support it. I don't think it's necessarily the cost to build a Destiny 3. It's the ongoing costs. That's their greatest concern. He blames Sony for not greenlighting Destiny 3. Right, if he blames Sony for not greenlighting Destiny 3, I partially agree with him. One of the main reasons they didn't greenlight Destiny 3 is functionally Bungie was in a terrible state. It was in a terrible state. Like, you can't greenlight a project of that magnitude with the way the company was being run. Could we get 200 likes on the video, guys? Make sure and smash that like button. I'm unsubbing to you because you're wrong. I'll try not to cry about it. Listen, if they were going to greenlight Destiny 3, this was one of the worst possible times to do it because Bungie were being so mismanaged. You cannot hand them a $300 million publishing deal for Destiny 3 with the way they were being run. You can't do it. You can't. They needed to either figure out a new place to build it, new studio, new location, because Bellevue's very expensive. They're probably trying to get rid of that dadgum property out there. It's a massive piece of property, and now they've got like 400 people working there. At one point, there was 1,200 people working for Bungie, either they're directly or remote. What are you going to do with the property? That's the stuff that Sony has to figure out before they greenlight a Destiny 3. My goodness, people. You have to look at the big picture there. Bungie was in an absolute horrible state. You can't say, oh, well, all the leadership walked. Now it's time to build Destiny 3. It's like, no, we've got to figure out where we can get you guys operating. This is a disaster. They were burning through cash, spinning up incubation projects. Did anyone see the PlayStation France stream? It's been reported that people flooded it with no disc, no buy. Yeah, they were having to ban people. And I saw people upset about that on Twitter. They're like, this is how you treat your customers? No, that's what happens when you disrupt a live stream. What did you think was going to happen? People are there to watch the live stream and to consume the content. You probably don't even speak French. And you just go in there and disrupt the whole thing. And you're like, I can't believe they banned me. This is how you treat your customers? You're not being a customer at that point. You're being a nuisance. They don't owe you the right to be a nuisance. Some of you people are like Karens in Overdrive. You're like, well, I have a right to hijack marketing posts for third-party games that have nothing to do with this, and I have a right to disrupt a live stream. You have the right to shut the frick up. Like, you don't have a right for to have access to any of this stuff. They can block you. They can ban you. They can do any of that. It's what you. Oh, I should be able to come in here and disrupt this entire thing. Good golly, a bunch of gamer Karens show up everywhere, and they get absolutely incensed when people are like, yeah, we don't really want to hear from you. You're wrong again. You misspelled your, and you said you were leaving. Let me help you with that with your 3-week-old account. in here on an alt, like anybody gives a frick. Go stand in Target with the sign that says F Target and see how that works out for you. That's what I'm saying. It's like, what? You're coming into a live stream where they're trying to talk about things going on, and the rest of the gaming world is like, what's going on? Why are these people in here spamming? And so they ban you, like, this is how you treat your customers. You're not being a customer. Just because you can yap doesn't mean that other people have to listen. That's right. Like, they can't believe there's consequences for being a nuisance and for being annoying. I'm sorry. I get that you're upset, but you guys are not. You guys are not at all helping your cause acting that way. You're not. It was funny during Summer Game Fest when they would go in and say, we want Destiny 3. Why? Because no one's having a productive conversation in a chat like that anyway. So it's fine. I thought that was fine. That was a more positive thing. It was like, we want Destiny 3. We're here showing our support for Destiny 3. It was also mostly emotes. They were just spamming emotes. Why? Because those chats are just going to be emote spam anyway. But you show up to some stream where they're trying to talk about this, that, and the third, or some game coming out, and you're like, we want disc, give us disc, blah. And they're like, well, we're going to ban you because you're just disrupting what we're trying to do here. And then you get all upset. Goodness gracious. Hang on. Xbox mismanaging money is what got them in the place that they are. So you guys want Sony to greenlight Destiny 3, which would be a major mismanagement of money due to the company making the game? Well, no, I actually haven't said that. My position on Destiny 3 is a little different. I think they should greenlight it, but I think they should greenlight it in a way that it's not as expensive. I don't think they can greenlight it within the Bellevue location. I think Bungie either needs to relocate or you need to give it to another team or something. I think it would have been reckless to greenlight like a $500 million project. I don't think that would have been a good idea. No. That's not the same as Microsoft buying studios, abusing them basically, like beating the crap out of them, turning them into churning houses for Game Pass, and then throwing them away when the games don't sell lots of copies. Those were wounds inflicted by Xbox. Sony did not inflict the wounds on Bungie. That's my problem with people that try to make it an equivalency. You just betrayed the fact that you don't know what you're talking about. What happened to the studios beneath Xbox's management is Xbox's fault. They're the causality. They went and bought the studios. They threw everything on Game Pass. They internally knew it cannibalized sales, and then you reduce the studios, divest them, or take them to the threshing floor, or sell them, or whatever. Why? Well, they didn't make enough money. You're the reason they didn't make enough money. You're the cause. There's a giant difference between that and PlayStation being like, what the heck are you doing over here, Bungie? We bought you, gave you a valuation. According to your own reporting, we've now had to take an impairment loss on you twice, totaling $800 million. And now your games are not doing well? Of course they're not going to go in there and greenlight everything. That's all on Bungie. Bungie did all that. The refusal to admit that Bungie is the cause there is just willful ignorance. Jim Ryan said Bungie would be a bigger deal than ABK. Well, I understand why he said it. He ended up being pretty wrong. I mean, I actually think their data and their intel is still going to be paying them dividends in a couple of years when they're able to apply it to actual live service projects. But there was, I think in his mind, live service was a bigger and brighter future than buying operational costs of ABK. What's funny is what just happened in the past couple of weeks and the last time they did like 2,500 layoffs is, I think Jim Ryan at some level was correct. The ABK deal has turned out to be an absolute disaster. It's turned out to be an absolute disaster for the brand. Jim Ryan literally said, you're not going to be able to manage all those studios. You're going to have talent loss. You're going to have leadership loss. And that has happened over the last couple of years. We've seen a lot of leaders leave. We've seen a lot of talent walk. And we're seeing talent walked out the door by Xbox themselves. Like, I don't think Jim Ryan was as out of touch as people thought he was. I think he saw you guys don't fully understand what Microsoft is doing buying ABK. He was like, that's going to be an albatross, and it ended up being an albatross. Now, when he thought Bungie was going to be a bigger and better purchase, Bungie ended up being their own form of disaster. But at the end of the day, Sony still gets all the intel and all the data on a decade-long live service game, and that has its own value. Bungie cost Sony just as much. I know you did this the other day, Jimmy, and I just think that you're continuing to be here in bad faith. You make horrible arguments because you know it gets my attention. I again think that you're just here to fight. You don't actually believe the things that you're saying. You're like, well, but if you do this fancy math against their per market cap and the price they paid, it's basically the same. No, it's not. No, it's not, because the damage that's being done to Xbox is far-reaching and significant. And also, and this is where you're just, I think, starting to insult all the people here with your own willful ignorance. You're ignoring the fact that legacy studios and massive amounts of talent are leaving the industry because of what Xbox did. That's not equivalent to Sony and Bungie, and you're embarrassing yourself by acting like it is. It's not bad faith. If it's not bad faith, then you lack such basic business intelligence. I don't know why you continue to speak on these things. You honestly think like the absolute brain drain, institutional knowledge, talent, legacy talent loss that's happening right now at Xbox, you think it's equal to Bungie? Laughable. Laughable. I'd laugh at you if I wasn't so irritated with what they've done to id. Your position's laughable, brother. 3,000 people are packing it up and going home. Legacy talent that's been in the industry for decades. And you're like, that's the same as Bungie, because Sony, though. Just stop. You're making a bad faith argument. You don't know what bad faith is. You don't know what bad faith is. You did this yesterday. Like I said, you're just embarrassing yourself. You are just embarrassing yourself. Acting like these are equivalent is the most form of willful ignorance. It just is. 3,000 people packing it up and going home. Let's not forget that 2 years ago they sent 2,500 people packing. Well over 5,000 people leaving the industry. Talent loss, brain drain, institutional knowledge gone. And you're like, that's the same as Bungie. I said the price per company, you're bringing up irrelevant info. It's not irrelevant info. It's relevant info because what you're trying to do is you're trying to create an equivalency, and I won't let you do it, which is why you're getting upset. You're saying it's bad faith because you don't like the fact that I'm not allowing you to do that. I'm not stupid, brother. This isn't my first rodeo. I know what you're attempting to do. You guys always do the same thing. You sneak in these little weird, convoluted points because some content creator got out a calculator and had to figure out a way to spin this, and you think you've got your winning ticket to make this seem like not that big of a deal. How is that relevant to price versus market share? It's relevant because you're attempting to argue an equivalency, and I'm saying they're not equivalent. You have to go to a very specific calculation to draw your equivalency. And I'm like, but that's not really even what we're talking about. You're invoking some equivalency that is arguably actually irrelevant, which is ironic that you're using the word irrelevant. It's not relevant. You won't allow it because it's a Sony L? What do you mean I won't allow it? It's a Sony L. I've talked about how Bungie has been an L for Sony. You don't listen. Not only are you terrible at argumentation, you also lack in listening comprehension. I've said numerous times that the situation with Bungie's been a big L for PlayStation. I don't blame PlayStation for what Bungie was doing because I'm not an idiot. I can see straight-faced that Bungie mismanaged themselves. But I have said time and time again, brother, I have a stream or a video on my channel somewhere that basically posits the position that this was the worst purchase they've ever made. What do you mean I won't let them take the L? The only thing I won't do is I won't endorse falsehood, something you struggle with, as moments ago you tried to claim that Sony greenlit Marathon. just willingly spreading lies and misinformation to support your position. And now you got to run to, well, if you take their market cap and you take the amount that they spend, it's basically the same kind of a purchase. And it's like, that has nothing to do with the conversation at all. It's not an equivalency. You didn't even formally retract what you said about Marathon. You just jumped from one thing to the next. And because I won't let you do it, you're like, well, you won't let Sony take an L. Like, what are you talking about? I've consistently said that Bungie has been a bad purchase for Sony. They basically saved a company that was being mismanaged, got tricked. They got tricked into buying them for way more than they were worth. And now they're making the wrong bet. I think betting on Marathon's a mistake. Did you miss all my Destiny streams where I said they should bet on Destiny 3? It was the better bet. I thought they were making a mistake. Were you here for any of those? I doubt that you were, or if you were, you're just in here being dishonest. It's par for the course for you to be dishonest. It's like a part of the brand mantra now. Just go out there and be dishonest, guys. Claim that Sony greenlit Marathon. Use this funky math to claim that the Bungie purchase is equivalent to the ABK purchase. And then when you get proven wrong, you're like, but you won't let Sony take the L. Yeah, as I made multiple streams claiming that they were making a mistake and that backing Marathon was stupid. And I thought their phrasing and their verbiage around Marathon was stupid. It's like you're sitting here telling me that this game has strong support. It doesn't have strong support. Lono, I enjoy some of your takes, but when you self-admittedly say you hate Xbox, never said I hated them. I said I strongly dislike them. Once again, you're in here lying. And you want to let everyone know how much they suck. You enter the chat in bad faith. It's not dishonest. I tell you what you can do. You can join the rest of the liars that come in here and disrupt my stream. You're done here, Jimmy, because you're just a liar. I never said I hated them. Never once. It specifically chose to not say that word and said I strongly dislike them. And you keep saying that I'm arguing in bad faith. I'm not arguing in bad faith. You've done nothing but lie today. So join the rest of the cowards and the liars that have to sit in the shadows and watch my streams because they don't understand how to come in here and actually have a conversation. Too short to ride the ride. And that's coming from a guy who's 5'6". Lono, I really believe some of these people you've been arguing with lately are troll bots. That's why I'm walking him. Yeah, because Xbox does suck. They do. Saying that that's bad faith, again, he doesn't understand what opinions are. It's my opinion that Xbox sucks, and I think people should know they suck. They've done a bad job these last 6 years, and to always have to listen to people like him, it's insufferable. It's like the house is on fire, and you're talking about how the grass is still green, and you're like, what the heck does that matter? Lona was an OG Xbox. Yeah, I mean, I think that's my frustration, is that I actually care about the studios. I actually care about the property. All these people care about is defending their precious brand. They don't give a frick about the studios or the games. They don't care. How many days have we done this since the layoffs? Have to listen to some chucklehead in chat talk about how this isn't that big of a deal, or but Sony though. And it's like, what? You don't care about the studios. You do not care about the studios. If you cared about the studios and the games, you'd be furious. You wouldn't spend a moment of your day talking about PlayStation. They don't care about the studios. I'm actually angry about id and everything else that's happened in all these studios and what it might do to the Elder Scrolls 6, and they're just busy going, yeah, but Sony though, but Bungie though, but Concord though. They're embarrassing. They're not fans and they're not gamers. They're not. Oh, by the way, this is being circulated by the people that are in heavily defending the physical thing, right? They're claiming that he's going to make a bunch of money off of they're basically claiming that he's like he's accredited, which researches digital spaces and micro lenses. So they were claiming he has a vested interest in his analysis of the situation with PlayStation and physical. Oh, and guess what they're doing? They're lying. I'm so surprised. He says, no, of course not. This is him right here, Dr. Sirkin Toto. He says, this rumor was completely made up first by the user you see in the screenshot. I do not, plus, have never worked for Sony formally or informally, directly or indirectly. I was never accredited at KO. This is a university where I studied, and I left it in 2008. People are just straight up lying, saying that, like, he... It's been discovered there's a huge conflict of interest. They're claiming that, like, he is accredited by this facility. They're 10 minutes from Sony Global HQ, and he'll benefit monetarily by developing the micro lenses that will supplant the Austrian disc factory. People are just out here straight up lying. They are so angry about the physical thing, they're just spreading community notes and lies about this guy. He just did basic analysis. What's funny is that the one thing that they're citing, his one study that they're citing, it's from 2020. It's from 6 years ago. The guy did a study 6 years ago and looked into what they were making physical versus digital. It's like, well, you think 6 years ago, what, he's playing the long game? I've come to the realization that there are gamers and then there are people that play games. I think Xbox loyalists are just dudes who play games. I don't even know if they play games, Ghost. I don't even know if they play games. I think they play Twitter, and I think they come into YouTube chats for attention. That's literally it. Here, I've got a good meme on Twitter too for all the people that folded for Black Ops 1 and 2. A quick guide on how to fold here. Here you go. There you go. Everybody that was like, I'm boycotting, I'm not buying anything. And then Black Ops 1 and 2 hikes their skirt up and it's over. Twitter has become a wasteland of, like, false community notes, brigades, and lies. It's just a big giant matrix of fake nothing. It's just a big illusion. It's just a big illusion. None of it's real. People just make things up. You didn't buy it? Listen, to the people that didn't fold, congratulations, man. I congratulate you. I really and truly do. If you stick to your guns, man, good for you. I told y'all it wasn't going to last. We said this the other day. I said, out of the people that are upset about this and saying they're boycotting, how many people do you think stick to their guns? They're just going to walk away from their hobby because they can't buy physical. Like, come on, man. Come on. And then the one guy posted a video of him unplugging his PlayStation and plugging in a Steam machine. I was like, man, you just... It's like voluntarily throwing yourself down the stairs. It's like, it's hard to invent stupid that's more stupid than that. You're like, I'm going to unplug my PlayStation because you're not going to give me physical. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hook up a weaker piece of hardware that's digital only. Look out, bro. They're kicking the balls in their own goal now. Just get out of the way. Just step out of their way. just let them. Just let them. You go right ahead, man. We're all just going to clap. Woo! You go, girl. You go, girl. You hook up that Steam machine. That'll show PlayStation. Stupid. And I know people are going to push back and say, but Steam treats digital purchases better. And I'm like, yeah, but that means you're okay with going digital only. So your position isn't sensible. It doesn't make any sense. It's like, so wait, let me get this straight. Like, you're okay with digital only. You just want to be treated better. Which is what I've been arguing the whole time. Like, digital only is coming. We need to be treated better. I'm like, all right, man. I tell you what. I tell you what. You live it up. You live it up over there, bro. There is a fan theory circling around the social that Creature was Jimmy and he knew how to jerk Lono's chain. If Creature wants to rile me up, homie, I don't think you guys understand. He'll just get in chat and do it. Y'all apparently don't know. This man will just get in chat and he'll just do it. What do you mean? Have you ever been here before? Ever? Like, that dude will just get in chat and rile me up and piss me off. He doesn't freaking care. He's like, huh? What does he need an alt for, bro? You know how hard it would be to be that dumb? That's what I'm saying, dude. Like, Jiminy Christmas. You also act like it's hard to yank his chain. Yeah, it isn't that hard. It really isn't. It really isn't. It's not that hard to rile me up. All you got to do is come in here and say something stupid about something I like. And I'm like, what did you say? I literally told 187 yesterday, pure reflex, no hesitation. I just told him to shut the frick up. He's like, nobody plays Doom. And I was like, you know what? Literally in the moment, I knew it was bait and I didn't care. I was like, shut the frick up. I just told him to shut up. I was like, you shut up, 187. Nobody plays Doom. Which, by the way, the DLC is so bittersweet because it's hot. That spear is so cool. You can, like, they added this whole thing. Like, you grapple and you can control the trajectory that your character's, like, swinging. It's freaking, it's awesome. It's freaking awesome. I felt attacked. You should have felt attacked. You attacked Doom. You don't do that in these parts, sir. I just hope you feel his disappointment. You know what I'm saying? He's just looking into your soul, 187, and he's like, you don't know, young blood. Like, that's what he's saying to you. You know what I mean? You don't know anything. If only id was allowed to make a game that wasn't designed for Game Pass. I can't imagine working at Microsoft or Xbox and seeing the quality and the pedigree and what they built in that DLC and being like, I tell you what we should do is we should get rid of 76% of these people. It's got to be one of the most brain-dead things I think I've ever seen. I really liked Black Flag, yes. I'm seeing people talk about it, and it's making it really hard for me to not play that instead of Doom. I'm committed. I basically usually play one game at a time and one game with Madam, right? So we have drops right now that you guys can get because I have a channel skin for Marvel Rivals, some kind of a Jubilee badge. Anyways, like the DLC is so stinking good. Like, I'm playing that, and I'm playing Astral Ascent with Madam, which Astral Ascent, I think we've hit 21 hours in that game. We're really liking it. I wasn't sure if it was going to work. It seemed a bit too complicated, but I slowly started to kind of figure out all the systems and the spells and the things that you can add to the spells. Are called gambits. It's very, very good. But the Doom DLC is just red smoking. It's just hot. It's hot. I'm very upset that I'm playing something that has been built at such a high degree of quality and with such good innovation within their game. And I'm also knowing that, like, a bunch of these people are now sitting at home being like, what the frick happened? I hope they, I don't know if they could start up a studio. Well, they wouldn't be able to use the id Tech. I don't know. You checking out the Power World update? I think we were going to wait until we felt like we were done with Astral Ascent, and then we would circle back to Power World. I don't know if we want to pick up Power World where we left off. I'd like to maybe experience it from the beginning because, like, we were pretty deep into the trenches with Power World. I don't know if you guys are playing. Let me know if you think we should start over or just pick up where we left off. I mean, we had a pretty sizable place. Yeah, Black Flag on the PS5 Pro looked really good. Lono's love for Gambit has clouded his mind. That's right. Bluepoint was offered a role as a support studio and said no. They didn't care about Bluepoint. I can't care if they don't. I care about Bluepoint. I played my tiniest violin for them. Here's the thing about Bluepoint that there are people trying to draw an equivalency between id Software and Bluepoint, and I'm like, listen, I was critical of PlayStation and I said it was short-sighted, but it's very different. It's very different. Here's the difference, and here's where I will say PlayStation deserves some credit compared to what Xbox has done. PlayStation had Bluepoint working on a live service game. When that game got canceled, do you want to know what they didn't do? They didn't turn around and shut the studio down and say, sorry guys, I mean, it was our mistake. We said, you know, we greenlit it and gave you approval to build a live service game, and we shouldn't have done that. That's on us. You're a single-player studio known for remakes. We probably shouldn't have done that. That was bad oversight on our part, but you're fired. They didn't do that. They worked with Bluepoint for like a year to 2 years to try to get them something to work on. They let them work on their own stuff. They did another pitch to FromSoft for Bloodborne Remake. And then they also offered, I only know this because of what I was told, they offered them the chance to become a support studio, and Bluepoint said no. That's not the same as what happened to id. id was tasked with making a game for Game Pass. They made a great Doom. You don't have to like it. It's a good game. It's got a good user score. What happens when Xbox's strategy doesn't pan out? They just gut id. They just gut them. It's not the same at all. That's why I said yesterday, they should, accountability, Xbox accountability would be, that's on us. We made the mistake. We had you guys doing this thing. We're going to give you another shot. We're going to give you another shot. We are not going to have you build your next game for Game Pass. Like, that would be accountability. Accountability was PlayStation literally working with Bluepoint for a year to 2 years to try to find a solution for them. To be like, listen, work on your own project. We'll make another pitch to FromSoft. How do we know that didn't happen with id? Because there hasn't been any time for that. The people that got fired from id, they were blindsided. They just shipped the DLC and now they're all sitting home. They weren't like, oh yeah, I mean, they gave us an opportunity to build. They were literally entering the pitching phase, Zubair. We just learned they were entering the pitching phase. They had a co-op Doom, they had a Perfect Dark, and then they had something else that was going to be like almost like a John Wick style game. They had 3 different ideas they were working on to pitch. There is literally no way Xbox walked in the room and was like, those ideas are all bad, get out of here. We can clearly see what's happening here. They fired people according to salary. It's why so many veterans at Bethesda are walking out the door. They're firing people according to salary. The longer you've been there, the more precarious your position is because you're drawing a good salary. They had 3 games. Well, they weren't in development. As far as I know, they were in the pitching phase. They were working on them. Nothing had been really done. They were working on the pitches. Like, they had 3 different ideas. Bluepoint sat around after the live service game got canceled. Bluepoint sat around for almost 2 years trying to come up with something. That didn't happen with Doom. We know it didn't happen with Doom. They just shipped the DLC. They weren't given a shot. They were not given a shot to pivot to anything else. They weren't. Project Fury was a John Wickish game. Yeah, they had like Project Fury and a couple other things. Not saying you're wrong, asking for the evidence. The best evidence we have, Zoob, is that they just shipped the DLC and we learned about the 3 things they were pitching. That to me makes it not equivalent to Bluepoint because Bluepoint hadn't shipped anything since Demon's Souls. It had been a while. We learned they were working on a live service game. We learned the live service game was canceled. And then like a year and a half to 2 years later, they get shut down. Then we learn from sources what happened. So there certainly could be some sources that the id Software team, flicked off Asha Sharma and told her to F off and they were going to do whatever they wanted. And then she's like, well, I'm going to have to fire you guys. I mean, obviously we could learn that something insane happened, which I just don't think so. It stands to reason they're literally being gutted because they're not working on anything and that's the best time to do it. They ship a DLC. They'll make some money off that DLC. They were getting ready to pitch these things like, hey, what are we going to work on next? And they lay off 76% of the people. And now they have their defense force out here saying, oh, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. there's a Frankfurt studio working on the engine. That's not true. That's a support studio. They're not working on the id Tech engine. I trust the id Tech employees over any of these outlets out here running that defense force. Like, oh, it's not as bad, it's being exaggerated. No, it's bad. It's bad when you got 76% of the core team. I don't care about a support team in Frankfurt. That's not the core team. They're not. That doesn't change anything. Even if you assume that Bungie was public, market cap isn't a relative metric for analysis because it ignores the differences between revenue multiples, IP breadth, and competitive mode. Sorry if that's a late response to the bad faith argument to Jimmy I think was making. Yeah, I mean, I didn't have to. I appreciate the breakdown. I didn't have to do that because I knew what he was trying to do. He was trying to create an equivalency. That's what they try to do. These guys are addicted to creating equivalencies. They have decided that PlayStation is bad. They've decided everything PlayStation does is bad. If I don't agree with them, I'm a shill and I'm defending Sony. So when I don't agree with them and I'm like, no, I don't think it's Sony's fault that Bungie's in this situation, they're like, you're a shill, you're defending them. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm just not. I'm not agreeing with your false claim. That's not me being a shill. Now, I'll be critical of things that they do. And they're like, yeah, but you don't go far enough. So to them, PlayStation is bad. They're all the way at level 9. And they're like, Xbox is doing things and PlayStation is doing things, and they're basically all bad. And it's like, they're not equivalent at all. It's an insult to everybody's intelligence to look at 2,500 people laid off 2 years ago and now 3,000 people laid off this fiscal period, totaling over 5,000 people, well over 5,000 people being laid off, trying to create that and make that an equivalency to like 400 people at Bungie. It's an insult. They're just insulting everybody's intelligence. They're an insult to their own limited intelligence if they think it's even compelling. It's not compelling. Sony's decisions usually make more sense because the financials are public. Xbox does everything in secret. Agree, Lono. The id dev said they were blindsided. Yeah, they were totally blindsided. They didn't go in, and this is the thing. John Linneman gave input on this, and he said that these studios aren't even being set up to flourish because these studios that are being gutted, they're not being set up to be like, okay, here, you can continue to operate and run and make games. We figured out who was doing what. They didn't come in and assess any of that. They did not come in and assess talent. They didn't come in and assess who's working on what. They didn't do any of that. They didn't. They got rid of people according to their salaries. That's what they did. And so that's why John Linneman's like, these studios aren't even being set up to succeed. You know what I mean? They're not even being set up to succeed. They're literally being set up to barely function. That's my frustration with it. Is it's like, everybody keeps spinning this into like, oh, she's going to turn things around. I'm like, but turn things around to what? What are you actually going to have after it's all said and done? This Elder Scrolls 6 is in the headline today. It was one of my stories today, right? Elder Scrolls 6 is going to see delays because they did the same thing. They went over to Bethesda and they're letting go of like 50 people. And out of those 50 people, a lot of them are like 20-year veterans. And it's like, it's clear. It's like you're getting rid of people because of their salary. You're not getting rid of people because you went in and you assessed the operations of the company and you're like, well, this company will be able to be just fine without you. No, they're looking at people on a line item. They're looking at people on a line item. Can you read my last? Hang on. What do you think about Bethesda matching? What do you think about Bethesda marching outside of studios? Oh, the people that are like basically organizing and quote unquote protesting. I mean, I appreciate what they're doing, and I think it's probably the best thing that they probably can do. I think every single studio underneath Microsoft and Xbox ownership right now should commit to malicious compliance. I think they should all together unite Start having little coffee meetings and dinners outside of company time and work on your best plan to do malicious compliance. I think they should make these projects take as long as they possibly can. That's what I would do. I'd be so maliciously compliant because you know your job is very at risk once you ship your product, once you ship your project that you're working on. They should all commit to malicious compliance as an act of some form of financial revenge against Microsoft. Bleed them for every red cent you can before they send you and your department packing. They want to lay off 1,600 of you. Take as long as you can on that project. Take as long as you can. Start making plans for when they fire you. And guess what? The best thing you can do, the absolute best thing you can do is drag your feet. Hurt their bottom line. That's the best thing to do to Microsoft. Because none of these studios are safe. It's not like if you ship a quality product and it does well, that like they're going to change their mind or that like future people in studios will be safe. No, they won't. So drag your feet. Bleed them. That's what I would do. Better than that, don't drag your feet. Do exactly what you're told. Yeah, I mean, you could 100% do malicious compliance and just do everything that the higher-ups tell you because they're also dadgum clueless. Make better games. Yeah, but it's clear that doesn't keep you, that you're not protected. There's no reason to think. This is what's so frustrating about this situation. There's no reason to think that if you ship a really good game that you're safe. Like that's what's so, this is so torturous. Torturous? Is it torturous? I think it's torturous. This is torture. Is Doom not a good game? Doom's a fabulous game and the DLC is fantastic. The DLC is so good. It's so good. And it's like, okay, so the DLC ships and it's so good. They clearly put tons of passion and work into it and it doesn't matter. It didn't matter. So it's like, what torture that must be. You want to honor the project you've been working on. You want to honor the hard work of all your fellow colleagues, but you know you're probably all done for as soon as you ship the game. That's what's so terrible about this. So many of these people are sitting there being like, man, we've been working on this for years. We've wanted this to be great for years. And we could literally get walked out the door regardless of how good it does. It doesn't matter. That's what's so frustrating about this. Like, I'm sitting here playing the Doom the Dark Ages DLC, and it's absolute torture. No, I'm sorry, not torture. It's absolutely bittersweet. It is bitter sweet. Because it's like, this is so good, this is so well built, and the people that worked on it are gone. They got canned. Because there was no assessment of like, well, man, this is a really good piece of property here. I mean, you guys really committed. Look at the turnaround time. Look at what you guys are able to do with your talent in this engine and all your institutional knowledge. Like, look at what you guys were able to do. Todd Howard is still around because of Elder Scrolls, despite his awful leadership. I mean, I said a while ago, Pickle, that I thought one of the biggest things that was going to work against the future of Elder Scrolls was Todd Howard. He did that interview with Lex Friedman, and I was like, oh man, this is the worst. This is the worst guy to have in charge at this point. He's just a dinosaur. I don't think he's the right guy for that position anymore. His views on like 30 FPS and if the simulation's running well and stuff, I'm like, you don't want this guy in charge of Elder Scrolls 6. Todd needs to go away. What's interesting is I think there's a lot of people that agree on that point. Even guys that are more on the Xbox side of things, they'll agree with me. They'll be like, oh no, yeah, Todd's got to go. I don't think people have a lot of confidence in him anymore. It's like he has a vote of no confidence. I think people look at him and they're like, yeah, brother, we need somebody else. We need somebody else in that position. And again, I think it comes down to just the way he talked about Starfield. I'm just like, I don't know if I want this guy in charge of Elder Scrolls. I don't think that was Todd's actual view. I think he was just holding the company line. I don't know. Hero Jackson, I suppose that's probably the most optimistic way to look at some of those interviews and the way he talked about Starfield. Madden Mill says, I agree. Once the Gears game ships, those at the Coalition Game Studio are at risk. Oh, my biggest fear for the Coalition would be that they ship Gears of War E-Day, and the only people that are left are the people that can maintain, like, the seasonal content, because they're obviously going to do stuff for, like, the PvP. There's seasons you can buy, like, on the actual storefront. You can actually buy them already. They're listed. I think they'll probably just strip the people down just to that team. They'll strip people down just to that team. Because it's like, that's all they're going to want out of that game. They're just gonna want that to be basically like a live service, churn rate to try to get as much money as they can off of it. I also think it'll be really, really weird. I don't know how they're going to position it, but I've seen Xbox fans say they don't believe the thing stays exclusive. I've seen like hardcore Xbox fans say that they think Gears will land on PlayStation, and I'm like, y'all think that? Okay. All right. That's crazy. I mean, why would they hold anything they've committed to? I mean, you know what I mean? They had Senua and State of Decay 3 in the showcase. I mean, you know what I mean? That showcase and roadmap's already a lie. I mean, just add one more lie to the pile. What at this point, what difference does it make? You know what I mean? Like, just come out and be like, the plan is the plan until it's not the plan. And there really isn't a plan. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just tell people. Just openly admit. Be like, listen, we don't really know what we're doing, man. We're just doing the first thing that comes to us, dude. We're just doing the first thing that comes to us, okay? You gotta cut us some slack here. Like, at this point, what are you even clinging to? You know what I mean? What are you even clinging to? Why do you got to go and be mean to the Mr. 16 times detail? Why Matt Booty didn't stop Asha for id? Okay, that's a good question. Why isn't Matt Booty standing at some level as like a shield to say, hang on, Asha, hang on. These guys are sacred, okay? These are the sacred texts. You can't get rid of these guys. You know, I do think that it's just more of a stoking of the fires of the question of like, what the heck is Matt Booty doing? What is he even doing? Why was he not consulting with her and conversing with her to be like, hey, yeah, I wouldn't get rid of these guys. I had a feeling Elder Scrolls 6 wasn't close. Before these layoffs even hit, we learned that the Elder Scrolls 6 was like 2 to 3 years away. We already knew. That's the other thing. I'm not really sure how they're going to do this. How are they going to justify even continuing to fund long-running projects because they want ROI? You know what I mean? They want ROI. So it's like, I don't even know. Like, what are you even going to do? Like, what? Matt Booty's job is to agree with the person in charge. Yeah, I guess. Like, if I was Asha Sharma, I'd be like, Matt, people are really upset about these id Software guys. Why didn't you tell me? Like, that's another reason why, like, a lot of what I said yesterday. And this is super relevant to the Elder Scrolls 6 conversation, which is literally in the headline. So we're not off topic here. This is relevant to the Elder Scrolls 6 thing. This just tells me again that I think that there's something else going on. I think there's something else going on. They're not signaling that they have a deep understanding of how these studios function and what legacy talent means and what it means to have, long-standing folks at the company and working on a particular project. Like, if you're going to let these types of things happen, to me, it's like, yeah, you guys really don't know what you're doing. This isn't even a fire sale. This is, we're lighting the house on fire. I mean, if anybody gets out and survives, great. But I mean, we're lighting this thing on fire. We're burning this thing down to the concrete. It makes no sense to fire anyone from Bethesda and Doom because they are the studios you need to focus on. Well, it's really, really running into, like, I think, a public narrative conflict when you have headlines just a week ago talking about how they were going to have Bethesda focus on their bigger titles, and Doom and Elder Scrolls are included in that list. And it's like, how do you expect to do that if these are the particular studios and teams that got hit? How do you expect that to work? What's good, Feed? I see you in the chat. I thought it was his job and why Asha kept him. That's literally what he's supposed to be doing. He's supposed to be over the studios. Feeds in the chat. He's in the chat without a badge. Guys, we got 2 hours before we go to the round table. If you're going to unlock the Saturday stream, you're going to have to put it into high gear. That was Phil's responsibility, not Asha's, not why she was hired. The Reaper collects souls. Right, but wouldn't you want... Okay, so let's think about it from this perspective. Let's do a thought experiment. Let's imagine that Asha walks in the room and says, we have to make cuts and they're going to be painful, but we want to make the right cuts because we want these studios to flourish. We want our best studios and our best property set up to flourish. Okay, let's imagine that she said that. What they have done doesn't line up with that. Do you see? This is why, like, I get really passionate, I get going, and I'm like, they don't know what they're doing. But if you really think about this, just logically for a second, no emotion, no shouting, if she walked in the room and said that, their behavior doesn't line up with that. It's like you're not doing that. That's why I keep saying I feel like something else is going on. We haven't really seen the full scope of this plan yet. It's the Kansas City shuffle. It's like they're making us all fixate on certain things. We're focusing on, well, these studios didn't close. Or, oh, well, it's getting exaggerated. Id's not all the way shut down. Oh, well, they're not shutting down studios. Like, they're wanting us to fixate on those things as a distraction. I don't think people are looking at this with their eyes wide open. I think they're kind of falling for the shuffle. It's like, yeah, this isn't going to be so bad. I think she's going to really turn things around. If she walked in the room and she said that, their behavior in the wake of her saying that doesn't make any sense, which is why I believe she didn't say that. I don't think she walked in the room and said, we need to set these studios up to flourish, to deliver some of the best work with our best pieces of property. I don't think she said that. I think she walked in the room and said, we have to make cuts and they got to be deep. So we got to sort according to salary and we got to get rid of the top earners. I think that's quite literally what she said. The behavior and what they're doing is that's where it's headed. Their behavior, what they're doing to the studios, I think it all falls into that. It falls into you're not setting up the studios to build big pieces of property. You're not setting these studios up to do great work with Doom and with Elder Scrolls. You're not. You're absolutely targeting the biggest earners. Because if she walked in the room and she said that, then my expectation would have been you would strip them down to the core veteran teams and the people that know the most, and you would say, let's set these people up to be successful because they're the ones that know the most. They're the ones that can build the next great game and the next big game. Can someone with a Copilot account ask it what it would do to fix Xbox and see what it says? If it says sort by salary and delete the top, we may be on to something. They are setting themselves up to be able to focus on titles that will do well on PC, PlayStation, and Switch. I think she has a view of development, and she has a view of how this all works that is very much line item driven. I think she views it that way. She's like, we can get rid of these people, replace them with people at lower salaries, and still make the games. She's operating the way Microsoft always has. It's very utilitarian. It's very utilitarian. It's like, we can just remove people and replace it. I agree with Lono, it's just line items. Talk slower, dude. Sorry, Zubair. So exclusives bad? Oh, I don't think exclusives are bad, Tommy, but I don't think exclusives will do well within their current system. So think about what we've been talking about this entire week, Tommy. What have we been saying? Oh, the games underperformed. The games underperformed. The games didn't sell enough. That's why these companies are packing it up and going home. Why would exclusives help fix that problem? Why? They're making E-Day and Clockwork exclusive? Yeah, they are. Do you think that's going to help those games? Do you think they're going to sell enough? Do you think that's going to help them sell lots of copies? Like that's my problem, is like they're literally saying we spent this entire week listening to people justify id Software getting tore up and Ninja Theory being sold. We just keep hearing, well, they didn't sell enough copies. They're contradicting with their strategy. You're right. Now we're on the same page, Tommy. That's why I keep saying they don't know what they're doing. It's like you don't even understand. What's your North Star? What is it? The exclusives were merely a point of PR. You're pointing out hypocrisy? What hypocrisy? Nobody is saying exclusives are bad. Nobody has trotted out that position today. Not me, not anybody in chat. Nobody who is consistently sort of cheering for PlayStation or in favor of PlayStation, none of those people are going to say that exclusives are bad. They're not. They've been ardently defending exclusives and the value that they bring to the market for the last couple of years. While we had to listen to a bunch of Xbox people say that exclusives are anti-consumer and that they're going away. A lot of us said no. I don't even view myself as like a Sony guy, but that's just where I ended up because there was no reason to stay on Xbox. They literally encouraged me to go away. It's funny to me that people call me a pony, and it's like the brand that you defend literally motivated me to go away. It's like they wanted me to leave. They gave me every reason to leave, and then you have the nerve to call me a pony. It's like, what? They told me to do this. As a brand, they literally motivated me to leave. And I land on PlayStation, and I play a bunch of great exclusives, and I'm like, I don't think exclusives are bad. I would never say exclusives are bad. I don't think exclusives line up with what we're hearing from Xbox. It doesn't line up. It doesn't. And that's what I told people. I said, you better be ready to defend the Clockwork Revolution team getting shut down or sold off or gutted, because that game's not going to sell enough copies. It's not. You didn't, and here's the other really, really big dilemma they're facing. Those are all games they said play day one on Game Pass. You're a pony? It's not surprising that somebody with the username Pony Tears doesn't even know how to spell your. It's impressive. I'm so worried about someone with your intelligence level insulting me. I'm so concerned about that. So if these games turn out to be great and they are exclusive and it doesn't work, then what? They'll do exactly what they just did to id Software, Jakob. I don't know how people don't see this. I don't see how people don't see what I was so angry about yesterday. I don't see how you guys don't see it. It's like id Software is it. That's the hole in the side of the boat that should have everybody terrified. Imagine right now working in another studio. Imagine. I want you to imagine working in another studio right now and being like, those guys? They laid off those guys. What? Yeah, they said their games didn't sell enough copies. It's like, but they put their game on Game Pass. Our game's going on Game Pass. Oh, Our game is also going to be exclusive. Imagine working on that game right now. Imagine thinking that what's that going to do to your morale? They let 76% of id Software go because Doom didn't sell enough? What? How many copies do they think we're going to sell of our game? How many copies of Clockwork do you think we're going to sell? It's day one on Game Pass, and they made it exclusive. Imagine working with that in your mind. It's like, what can you imagine working under that? Being like, well, we're probably cooked too, boys. We're not going to sell more copies than Doom the Dark Ages. You guys think Clockwork's going to surpass the 1 million copies of sales for Doom? You think Clockwork's going to do that? It's day one Game Pass, and it's an exclusive. Do you think they're going to do it? Do you think Clockwork can top it? It's like, and people could be like, well, it's probably more expensive to run id Software. I mean, Clockwork's been in development for a long time. I doubt it has a small budget. It looks very, very good. It looks very technically competent. It looks very well built. It does. It's like, I don't know what to tell you. If you're working on Clockwork and you're watching this happen to id Software, literally the week they drop a banger DLC, I'd be terrified. I'd be absolutely terrified of what comes next. I would be like, well, we're probably not safe either. D-Tom says, you'll have to read both of my previous messages. Hang on one second. YouTube is being terrible. I can't. Okay. You've been aggravated with Xbox lack of games, lack of kept timelines, lack of third-party titles having content parity, and it's all because of bad Xbox decisions. So when they make deep cuts and people see the new leadership and the new messaging, they're willing to take the cuts for a change. Well, here's my problem though, D-Tom. I look at the deep cuts and I say, that's a lack of accountability. Accountability would have been, you guys did all this under Xbox's direction and leadership. Xbox is willing to own that and fund your next project. That would have been accountability. It would have been. They've been footing the bill all this time. With the real issue is that Microsoft doesn't want to foot the bill because they're doing all this reallocation of funds for AI and stuff. Like, that's the real rub. Acting like, oh, they're making these deep cuts because they really want to turn things around. It's like, no, they're not. They're making these deep cuts because they've reallocated so much of their budget. They don't want to spend another dime that they don't have to. That's why these deep cuts are happening. Accountability would have been like, listen, you were told to do this. Yeah, that we're done with that. We're done with that. We're going to fund your next game and we're going to sell it. We're going to sell it. Maybe Satya wasn't willing to pay anymore. That's exactly what has happened. Satya is literally saying agentic AI is our future. And he doesn't want to spend another dime. Like, in his hierarchy of value, he doesn't see id Software as worth anything. He sees them as a relic from a dying age. That's what he would look at it and say, what do I need them for? Our future is agentic AI at every layer of business function. We don't need id Software 20-year veterans. What do they bring to the table? That's what he's thinking. It's the exact same corporate way that PlayStation's looking at physical. They're looking at the numbers. The difference is going from physical to digital will not have an impact on the game's quality. It doesn't matter to me if I go to buy Venom and it's only available digital, or look at all the people buying GTA 6. No one's like, oh, it's not going to be any good because they didn't make discs, right? Satya's vision, sadly, is antithetical to creative process. Switching from physical to digital is a logistical line item to save them money. They're doing the same thing, but about different things. This is why I think Sony and Nintendo so consistently win, because they don't disrupt that creative thing. They're not like, oh, well, we're going to go in here and we're going to gut teams and we're going to take them down to the threshing floor and hopefully they can still make games. They don't do that. If they did that, then we would be seeing similar results from them. If they would have done the two-tiered system, if they would have done the parity clauses, if they would have done all those things, if they would have had like 2 PlayStations and had parity clauses, that would have been terrible. Like with the handheld that's coming in the low power mode, one of the worst things PlayStation could do is task their studios with legislating to the low power mode. The low power mode needs to come after the fact. You need to prioritize the games. You need to prioritize making really, really awesome games to show off the PS5. And then the handheld comes after. It does, like, and I really, really hope that they don't disrupt that. If they disrupt that pipeline and they start going to studios and saying, oh, you need to prioritize building games for the handheld, I'll be just as critical. I'll say, that's a really bad idea. You're going to harm the product. And when you harm the product, you're going to harm your sales. People like to collect them like trophies on their shelves. I think Sony and other companies should just make them more expensive. Yeah, we've talked about that before. The reason I think they did this is they want to rip the Band-Aid off and then let the PR wound heal. And it's already healing with people folding for Black Ops 1 and 2, and then they're going to fold for GTA 6, and then they're going to fold for Wolverine. They're going to keep folding. They're not going to maintain their anger about this. You want to keep reminding people, you want to keep making people angry, then keep making physical and raise the price. Every time they go to buy the game physical, they're going to be ticked off. They're going to be like, these guys are freaking fleecing their most loyal customers. People would be more angry about that than ending it. They can say that they're willing to spend more from physical. That's bull. If they started charging more from physical, that's what everybody would be saying. You're fleecing and you're squeezing your most loyal customers. That's what people would say. Stop projecting your folditude onto others. I'm not projecting. I'm watching Twitter. People are folding. I literally saw tweets from guys that were like, yeah, you got me. I'm going to get Black Ops. Like, I've literally seen people do it. They gave up. They're like, I'm out. I told you guys the other day. I said all it's going to take is a good showcase, and people are going to be like, yeah, I can't stay mad. Games are awesome. And they're going to be back in. Very few people are going to be able to hold the line on this. They're weaklings. You can call them whatever you want. They don't care. They're gaming. You can call them whatever name you want. They don't care. Their fun in video games is not contingent upon your approval. They're going to play Wolvie or GTA 6 or Black Ops or whatever the heck, and their fun is not contingent upon your approval. You're talking about the most committed players. That's really, really hard. Stop projecting your consumer foldability onto the chat. Stop saying things that other people said. Be original. I'm not projecting on the chat at all. I've not said anything about the chat. Engage with what I'm saying rather than speak in false platitudes. I'm not projecting onto the chat. I'm saying people will fold. That's a prediction. That's not projection. Get your frickin' vocabulary in order. I'm making a prediction. I'm not projecting. I'm not. I'm predicting that the most committed players, they're the most likely to be raging about this. And guess what? The most committed players are going to have a significantly harder time walking away from gaming. If this has been your hobby for 20 or 30 years, that's really, really tough to walk away from. It is. I appreciate their passion and I appreciate their anger, but it's going to be really hard for them to hold the line on it because they're in. This is their hobby. This is the thing that they love. You know what I mean? If you went fishing with your relatives, your dad, your brothers, every weekend of your life, and then all of a sudden your favorite fishing spot closed, you'd probably still go fishing. You'd figure it out. You'd be like, I mean, this is the thing that we do. This is our thing. We've got our boat. We've got our tackles. We've got our rods. Like, what are we doing? Like, you'd figure it out. You wouldn't just be like, well, I guess you guys want to do crosswords? Like, you wouldn't switch. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be extremely hard for people to just drop gaming altogether or just walk away from PlayStation. So I'm making a prediction. I'm not projecting. I'm just like, I think people will have a really hard time holding to that conviction to boycott. Can't wait to see the massive spike in Switch owners and players because so many people will only play physical. The classic Black Ops mode in Black Ops 7 is now a permanent mode. Isn't that complete insult to Black Ops 7? I'm not familiar. I like crosswords and fishing though. Do them at the same time, yeah? You know the point that I'm making. If it's something that's become a part of your life, if it's something that you regularly enjoy, you are not going to be able to just walk away from it clean. It's going to be extremely difficult for you to pack it up and be like, I'm going to Steam. I'm going to Nintendo or whatever the frick. If you're sitting on a mountain of games, I mean, I'm here to tell you that makes it significantly more challenging to walk away. It does. It does. And packing it up and going to Steam, what are you going to do? What are you going to do with your physical collection then? See, that's the catch-22 of the people saying that they're going to pack it up and go somewhere else. The catch-22 is you're gonna devalue your own collection by doing that. I mean, especially if they give you some ability to continue to play those discs, right? If in 7 years PlayStation's got the PlayStation 6 in the market and they have some solution for you to continue to use those discs, if they do that, then why would you walk away from PlayStation at that point and go to Steam? Like, you're going to basically devalue your own collection at that point. You're going to tell your physical collection that it's just decoration at that. You're not going to be able to do anything with it. Now, I'm not even saying that they're going to give you the ability to. I kind of hope that they do. I feel bad for the people with big physical collections. I'm like, I hope they give you guys a way to play those discs in the future. That's what my current physical media library is for, and why I'll add to it. That's my mountain. I've not ever once tried to shame anybody for having a physical collection or enjoying a physical collection. It doesn't make a difference to me at all. I've just been continuing to tell people that you better be prepared to, have a very, very different experience in gaming if you're going to really, really cling to this. I walked away from 360 to PS4, then PS4 to PC. I got all the games again on a Steam sale, which is basically year-round at this point. Right, like a lot of... I was pretty nomadic myself, Chris. That's why when people call me a pony, I just kind of laugh. Like, they betray that they're both stupid and dishonest at the same time. Like, that's a heck of a thing to admit. It's like, I've been nomadic my entire gaming life. It's like I went from Nintendo to PC because I wanted to play Quake with my boys, and I got into Quake 2. Then I got into Quake 3. I was in a Quake 3 Rocket Arena clan. I went to 2 big LAN parties in Dearborn, Michigan. Went with my buddy. We packed up our big computers, and we went up there, right? Got to college. I was building PCs for people in college. I would buy all the parts on Newegg. I had a Windows disk I would use to set them up. And then I got married in 2017. 2017. I got married in 2007. And in 2007, my PC couldn't play Modern Warfare, so it was Call of Duty 4. I couldn't play that, and I couldn't play Gears of War. And I was furious. So what did I do? I was talking to my buddies. I worked at AT&T at the time, and my buddy said, they've got these Xbox 360 bundles that comes with Call of Duty. And so I was like, all right, let's do it. Right? And so I bought it. We bought it, and I started playing Call of Duty 4. I started playing Gears of War, and I was like, oh my gosh, I was basically back to consoles. So I built this huge library on 360. I started playing games with my wife. We were using the Xbox Arcade. We were doing the demos. I loved it. I loved Xbox. I was like, these guys are great. I was getting exclusives. I remember getting the Ripper. It was a gun in Call of Duty that you could only get on Xbox. And then I did the same thing. I used the Kinect camera on my Xbox One to start my streaming career. I literally streamed 11 years ago at this point. 11 years ago, I started streaming with a Kinect camera in the basement of a duplex. And I was all about Xbox. And then this gen, it's just like, I think I just got there before a lot of people. I think I just got there before a ton of people have kind of come to the realization, like, I really don't like where this brand is going. And a lot of you went to PC. And just because you went to PC and I went to PlayStation doesn't mean that, like, I'm a pony and you're a master race. We just went where we felt like our consumer preferences were met. It was like, I just felt like this was doing the thing that I wanted it to do. And the seed was planted near the end of my time on consoles, because I came back to PC for Destiny and Fortnite because the frame rate was better. Near the end of my time on console, because I was nomadic. I came back to PC. Before this gen, I was 100% PC only. I played Destiny every day on my PC, and I played Fortnite. And that's when I started building a Steam library. So that was from 2018. From 2018 to 2020, I spent about 2 years back on PC. And then I came back to console, and the seed was planted by God of War 2018 and Spider-Man 1. I played those on a PlayStation 4 Pro, and I was like, I've never played games like this before. Got a PS5. I played God of War 2018 with the 4K checkerboard update and the 60 FPS, and I was like, this is fantastic. This is fantastic. Why would I go anywhere else? If I'm getting this performance, I didn't want to go back to PC at that point. So I went from Nintendo to PC to Xbox, back to PC, back to Xbox with the Series X, and then this gen I drifted away from Xbox entirely. And see, that's the difference between me and the people that are like defending Xbox at all costs. If I ever felt like I needed to pivot away from PlayStation and go back to PC, I would do it, because that's what I've done my entire gaming life. I've never once been like, I'm here, ride or die. I literally switch whenever I feel like it's best for me. No, I didn't play the Order 1886. When I had a PlayStation 4, I really only played Destiny on it. Yeah. So, when I got a PlayStation 4 Pro, I literally got it with the hopes that I would be able to get better performance out of like God of War and Spider-Man, because I had already started playing Destiny on my PC at that point. And once I started getting the 60 FPS, I was like, I'm not going back. So I stopped using my consoles at that point, except for those two games. I played those two games on my PS4 Pro, and it gave me headaches. I got so used to the 60. I would end every stream, and I'd be like, man, my head hurts. Like, what the heck? It was it almost felt like a headache around my temples and my eyes. And I basically, from that point forward, I was PC only until this gen started. The person who asked for Copilot, here you go. Okay, hang on a second. Copilot says they should build must-own exclusives games again, keep Game Pass, but make it profitable. That's interesting that even That's interesting that Copilot says you should keep Game Pass, but make it profitable. Everybody insists that Game Pass is profitable. Copilot doesn't seem to even agree with you. Build must-own exclusive games again. One of Xbox's biggest challenges has been convincing gamers that they need Xbox hardware. Focus resources on Halo, Gears, Forza, Elder Scrolls, Fallout, and other flagship franchises. Copilot knows not to mention Doom. Release fewer games, but ensure they are higher quality. Give studios enough time to finish products properly. Keep Game Pass, but make it profitable. And then improve hardware differentiation. I mean, I think that's one of the biggest challenges that they're going to have with hardware is I think they're being motivated to not make the hardware, like right now. I think that they're being motivated to not do it, which isn't their fault. I mean, it's not their. I mean, they're partially to blame. They're not completely to blame for the situation with AI and with RAM and everything else. That's not. I mean, they're contributing, but they're not primarily to blame. Looking forward to the Fallout game in 2032. I don't know how you make Game Pass profitable. I've continued to say I think they have to get rid of day and date. You can't spend the next how many years, squeezing blood, sweat, and tears out of Bethesda to get Elder Scrolls 6, and then you can't do that and then put it on Game Pass day and date. You simply can't. You can't do that. That's just a terrible idea. Right now, Xbox has more reasons to not make hardware. I know, and that's not entirely their fault. The market has very much shifted beneath their feet. I think with every day that passes, they are heavily motivated to not pursue the hardware thing. They are heavily motivated. It's like, and again, I don't think that's their fault. What's your take on Jez's article on id? I do not appreciate the attempt to calm everybody down. I think they're taking something that is very, very loose, and they're trying to say that id Software's status has been exaggerated. I do not agree. I don't think it's been exaggerated. I trust the employees at id Software who were laid off. I trust them more than that article. I trust them more than the guy who started it. The guy who started it is just some fanboy on Twitter. I have him blocked, which means in the past he probably attacked me. Just another console tribalist. It's like that guy found out that there's a Frankfurt location. It's a support studio. It's a support studio. And they're trying to use that to claim id Software's fine, guys. This has been exaggerated. There are still people working on the engine. No. They gutted 76% of the core team. And that core team is basically like, there's not really anybody left. A support studio doesn't mean anything. That would have been like gutting Bungie. Imagine back when they had like High Moon Studios helping them. Imagine gutting 76% of Bungie and somebody telling you, this is being exaggerated because High Moon Studios is still around. That's how stupid that would be. It's like, no, that you're not going to call me down about this. You took them down to the studs. This support studio doesn't mean anything. It doesn't. It's not been exaggerated. It has been properly encapsulated as you gutted id Software. That is not an exaggeration. The attempt to repackage this because there's a support studio that's still open, which, by the way, how do we even know that support studio is safe? They're in Germany. They may get hit with layoffs in a week or a month. The rush to be like, let's just calm down. Like, I get the instinct and the desire to be like, let's all calm down. It's not that dark. No, you're not calming me down. It's dark. It's bad. There's another 1,600 people that we haven't even known who that's been laid off yet. We still don't have a full picture of the ramifications of this because European law and labor laws in other countries are different. Like, we don't know the status of Arcane Leon. So this Frankfurt studio, that doesn't calm me down. They're a support studio. We don't even know the degree to which they can interact with the id Tech engine. What if they just come alongside and they do quality assurance for the id Tech engine after something's being built? And you're acting like we're overreacting because 76% of id's been laid off. Why do I think id was selected for cuts? Because they had 20-something long veterans that were making a ton of money. That's why. The people being laid off have a lot in common. A lot of them have been with the companies for a very long time. Some of the people let go from Bethesda had similar track records. They were in the 20s. They were in the double digits of tenure. If they're serious about starting to put out legitimate bangers, the game should be console exclusive for a month. No PC or Game Pass for a month. Here's the thing that you always have to stop and pump the brakes on. You gotta pump the brakes on this and gut check this every time. This is the pattern. This is the pattern with anything that happens from Microsoft. They want us to fixate on things so that we don't see the big picture. They want us to fixate on the fact that studios weren't closed. They want us to fixate on the fact that Fallout got greenlit. They want us to fixate on the fact that id Tech's fine. There's a Frankfurt location. Where do you think all this comes from? Where do you think all this comes from? They want us fixating on all these things because it distracts from what they're doing. If even they have plans for these studios, at a minimum it seems that they want to replace vets with newcomers to save money. That's right. The same number of devs who shipped Doom 2016 is just a support studio. Okay, Jakob, I'm not doing this. I am not doing this with you. That's not honest. The Frankfurt studio, we don't even know what they do. They're a support studio. id Software shipped Doom 2016. Oh my gosh, I swear you guys all go to the same meeting. It's the same number of devs who shipped 2016. Really? They shipped 2016 with 76% of the studio gone, veterans gone, guys that have been at the company for 21 years. It's absolutely disingenuous. It's absolutely disingenuous to be like, oh, it's the same number of people. Really? Really? Quit with the talking points. Quit. It's the same number of people. Number one, and Frankfurt wasn't even the studio that shipped 2016. We don't even know at what point in time they came into the picture. We don't know what they've done. We don't even know if they're that good with id Tech. It could just be a support studio for QA. Like, that's the problem, is it's like, and again, if you look at this from the perspective of, if Asha walked in the room and said we need to set these studios up to build great games for the future, everything she's doing looks like the opposite of that, because I don't think she's doing that. It's not my words. I read it from Insider Gaming. But again, that's not the point. The point is bigger. The point is bigger than the number of people that are at the studio. Like, you're talking like the line item, executive. Like, well, they shipped 2016 with this many people, so surely we can take them down to that number of people again. What? Hugo's still there. Thank goodness. He's a real one. I mean, I think... Yeah, I think the attempt to celebrate this and spin it positive, I'm just going to continue to say that I think it's pathetic. I do. I think it's pathetic. Nobody tried to spin Bluepoint and make it a positive or a good thing. We all said that it was bad. We all said that it was collateral damage of wanting to do too many live service games. We all said that it was bad leadership having a single-player studio work on live service. We all said they had pedigree, they were respected, and that they would be missed. I didn't see anybody that tried to spin the Bluepoint thing positive. Now, I saw guys say, well, they haven't shipped anything since Demon Souls. I saw guys saying that. They were trying to do the blame the devs thing, and I remember telling people that wasn't their fault. I made the same argument. I was like, you can't do that to Bluepoint. But like, yeah, they deserved it. They hadn't shipped anything since Demon Souls. I was always like, yeah, Sony had them working on a live service game. I did the same thing then that I'm doing now. I'm like, no. You go to the leadership. You go to Xbox. You go to PlayStation. There needs to be accountability. And PlayStation works with Bluepoint for almost 2 years trying to find them a project to work on. id Software wasn't so lucky. id Software shipped the DLC, and then 76% of the studio got walked out the door. Definitely not celebrating, but I'm also not going to say it's over before it's over, if that makes sense. I'm not asking people to say that it's over. I'm simply saying if she is attempting to put these studios on a path of success to build great games, what she's doing will not bring that about. We've been doing this for a long time. You excused it because they didn't want to be a support studio? No, that's a repackaging of my argument. You're lying. I didn't excuse it. No. I literally argued and said that PlayStation should have kept them regardless. Their operational costs weren't that big. They weren't that large. They should have kept them. They had pedigree. You're misrepresenting my position, which isn't shocking. I'm gonna bet your account's not old. Okay, it is. Wow, I'm shocked. It's an actually 15-year-old account, but you're not being honest. That's not my position. I didn't excuse it. I said it wasn't equivalent to what they did to id Software, because it's not. They worked with them. They tried to find them something to work on, and Bluepoint turned down being a support studio. That's not excusing it. I'm saying that makes it not equivalent. Do you understand? Like, a guy can drive recklessly through a neighborhood and wrap his car around a tree. And someone could say, that's equivalent to somebody speeding. And I could be like, no, it's not. It's not equivalent. That doesn't mean I'm excusing the guy for speeding and being like, oh, it was fine that he was speeding. I'm simply saying they're not equivalent. My position has never once been that it's totally fine that they shut down Bluepoint. I maintained, even after I learned that Bluepoint turned down being a support studio, I still maintain that they should have kept them. That, like, surely there's something that they could have worked on. You've got all this property and all these things that they could have remade, and you couldn't find anything for them to work on? That's been my position. I'm fairly new here. Well, if that was your interpretation of what I said, you completely misunderstood what I was arguing. This is a common practice that people do. They make a bad faith argument. They get me to fight against it. They try to claim that Bluepoint is equivalent to id Software. I will dismiss that and say they're not equivalent. I'll explain why they're not equivalent, and then they'll clip that and say, oh, Reforge is excusing and saying it's okay that PlayStation shut them down. People do this all of the time with my content. It's not honest. It's not done in good faith. It's a lack of integrity. My position has been consistent on this. I think even now, knowing that Bluepoint was offered the opportunity to be a support studio, I still think PlayStation should have kept them around. They should have found something for them to remake. They've got all this property that these guys could have sunk their teeth into. Their pedigree and what we know PlayStation likes to do with their content, I still think that they should have kept them around. You claim that you were there when video games first came out. You were born in 81. The first console came out in 1972. That's not what I said. I said I was there when games were made more accessible to the consumer or something like that. I even corrected myself. I know that I wasn't there when video games were born. Are you guys that desperate for a gotcha that you think that I believe that video games were born in the 80s? How could I possibly do that? My first gaming system was my dad's Coleco, which was out before then. The phrasing that I used in that moment was literally like, I was there when the games were born as they are now, like as they came into being. I was also largely talking about first-person shooters. When I was going on that rant, you guys will get me mid-rant, and because I don't stop and immediately qualify and add a footnote and be like, video games were actually created in 1972, so I wasn't actually there at the birth of video games. If I don't do that, you're like, oh yeah, he lied. He said he was there when video games were born. Good golly, that's just so pathetic. Like, I don't know how pathetic you can be, but that's pretty pathetic to think that, like, I was literally trying to claim that I was there the day that video games were born. I was specifically also talking about shooters. Like, I was there when shooters were born. I played Wolf 3D. I played Quake. I played Doom. I got the clip. Stop, just stop. The Magnavox Odyssey, just stop. That was not my intention to claim that I was there when video games were born. You are a pathetic individual. You are probably, again, in here on an alt. I bet you that's not even your account. Yeah, that's probably not even your account. That's not what you said? Okay. So, me telling you that that's not what I was intending to say and that's not what I was attempting to claim would mean that I wasn't lying. It would mean that I was just speaking extemporaneously, something you're probably not familiar with. Your complete lack of intelligence means you probably don't even know what that means. When I'm speaking extemporaneously and I'm just ranting, I don't stop to qualify everything to be like, now guys, I don't literally mean that I was there when video games were born. Like, you literally fact-checked my birth year to be like, oh, dude, this guy claimed he was there when video games were born, when actually it first started in 1972 with the Magnavox Odyssey. Good Lord, your life must be pretty empty, brother. Like, you got to have better things to do with your time. I am literally not claiming that I was there when video games were born. I was mid-rant about, like, the birth of shooters and everything we play now. I was there at the birth of all of this, because that's largely when a lot of this stuff was born. Like, first-person shooters, id, Doom, Quake. I was there. I was there when all these things came to be. And I'm fully admitting to you right now, I wasn't there at the exact year it all started, which means I wasn't lying. I was just speaking extemporaneously. I was just going on a rant. You have nothing. If you think you've got a gotcha there, I tell you what, take that as a victory, because you probably have no victory in your life anywhere else, because that's pathetic. The dude's wrong. Video games started in the 50s. It didn't become mainstream until the 70s. Yeah, I was literally talking about, like, when they became more accessible and when they became more of, like, in the home. I think I even qualified it and said, like, when they kind of gave birth to the idea of, like, everybody was gaming in their home. Like, when I was growing up and, like, we had a PC and we had a Nintendo and we had a Coleco, that idea really took off in the 80s. Like, the actual birth of it was way, way, way back. Like, that is a very, very good way to put it. You're really grasping at straws for a gotcha if you think that was me attempting to say that I was born in, like, the 1960s or 70s. That would be one of the stupidest things for me to lie about. Like, I've openly talked about how I'll be 45 this year. Like, I'm not sitting here trying to be like, well, guys, you know me. I'm 62 years old, and I was there when video games were born. Like, that's not a thing I would try to claim. That would be very strange. I thought Lona was talking about playing FPS games. I don't remember exactly when I said it, but I remember my mind was going to, man, I was there when first-person shooters were born. I was there when these games were born. Like, I was there at the beginning of all of this. And to have people tell me that, like, I'm not really a fan of Doom, or, like, you're not really a fan of id Software, it's just like, yeah, I think the frauds and the phonies are people that spend their days trying to clip me and catch me in lies. I think you're the frauds and the phonies. You spend more time doing that than probably playing games. Like, if you're that obsessed with catching me, and, like, a gotcha, I would say that, yeah, I probably play more games than you, and you probably don't really play games. Like, you're doing the clip sniping troll thing, which means I think you have severe character flaws if you're doing that with your time. I think you need to reflect on your life. I say that as a real human being to another human being. I think you need to reflect on how you live your life. I think that's a pathetic way to live. I think there's far better things you could do with your time. I mean, you could literally shut my streams off, never watch my streams again, and just play games, and you'd be living a better life. I literally just had a conversation. And Derek, stop policing. It's not fun to be policed. I'll talk about what I want to talk about. The guy came in and said it, and I'm correcting him. Like, let's talk about gaming news, my God. If you don't like when I engage when someone's going to come in and lie about me, then find somebody else to watch. Stop policing. It's worse than the trolling. That's the irony, says Erica. I used to see those clips a long time ago, and then I came over here to see that you're actually gaming and having good content. That's the thing. Like, I'm going to correct people when they come in and say stuff like that because it's a consistent and concerted effort to mislead people about me. I'm going to correct folks. The guy came in and said I lied yesterday. I was like, no, I didn't. I did not. My brother and friend Jay, who are 3 years older, can agree. Man expose yourselves, telling you he has the clip. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm going to correct that and be like, that's not what I was saying, man. What are you talking about? Like, listen. We all started gaming at different points in time, right? We all started gaming at different points in time. But the fact of the matter is that whether you game now or whether you gamed in the past, the point is this should not make you happy or excite you or think that like the future is bright. Everything that we're looking at, it all looks like, oh wow, like legacy talent is leaving. I don't care if your first gaming system was this year or you had a Pong. Like that, I don't care about that. What I care about is legacy talent leaving. That's the problem. It's like, listen, if you look at games like, maybe you really like Assassin's Creed games. I saw people saying like, Assassin's Creed Black Flag Remake, this is what Ubisoft used to make. Oh my gosh, blah, blah, blah. Like, why can't we get back to like the good games? And why can't we get back to this, that, and the third? You should be looking at what's potentially happening to Elder Scrolls 6, what's happening to id Software, and it should make you mad. It should be a cause for concern. Watching legacy talent leave the industry is not something that we should be spinning or minimizing or saying isn't that big of a deal. That's absolutely counterproductive. It's like, no. We should be sending a loud and clear message to PlayStation, to Nintendo, and to Xbox. You guys should not be letting legacy talent go. They literally make the games that we buy. You want us to buy games, don't you? Aren't you trying to turn Xbox around and publish games and make games that are going to sell well and be successful? Like, if that's what you're going to do, then we should be saying this is not the way to do it. You shouldn't be letting go of people that have been in the industry this long. I literally just had this conversation about how we were born at the best time. I was born in '89, and I got to see the change in media over the years and how the world changed. Right, which is exactly why I was invoking that yesterday, Havoc. It's like, I was there when all this stuff started. Like, I wasn't being literal, like, I was there at 1972, I was standing in line at JCPenney, I was saying, or Sears, or wherever the heck they would have sold these things. I was literally saying, like, a lot of us were here for this. We literally watched, id Software go from Wolf 3D, Spear of Destiny, Commander Keen. Like, we watched Doom come out and Quake come out. And then we watched shooters come to the console. And we were like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Like, and then when I played Doom 2016, I thought, these guys get it. These guys get it. How many times did I tell you guys that that's what they needed to do with Halo? I was like, what they did with Doom was so great. They honored the legacy, but they evolved the game. It had the Doom identity, but they weren't like tethered to how Doom was back then. I've always used Doom 2016 in that discussion because like those guys are the GOATs. And if you look at that and you look at the history, you should be like, yeah, this is a huge loss. And then if you look at the Elder Scrolls, you should feel the exact same way. You should be like, what are you guys doing? These are the guys that made Oblivion. These are the guys that made Morrowind. These are the guys that made Skyrim. Why are you getting rid of legacy talent that made industry-shaping games? The reason they're doing it is because they don't understand what they're doing. No Wolfenstein? What do you mean? I said Wolf 3D. The original Wolfenstein is literally, the name of it is Wolfenstein 3D. So when I say Wolf 3D, that's what I'm saying. Now, the Return to Castle Wolfenstein and the Wolfenstein games, the more modern Wolfenstein games, they're great. But when I say Wolf 3D, that's what I'm doing. That's just shorthand for Wolfenstein. Yeah, Circuit City. Revelations DLC did not really do any numbers on Steam. Well, how could it do numbers on Steam when we know that the game didn't sell particularly well? I felt like you were meaning that you were born at the boom of gaming, not gaming in general. Yeah, interpreting my phrasing and my rant in the best light, interpreting my phrasing in good faith, you would have never thought Lono just lied and claimed he was born before 1972. Like, only an idiot would think that that's what I was trying to say. Like that, like, why would somebody think that? Clearly this guy is trying to claim he's 15 years older than he is. Like, that wouldn't make any sense at all. ESO had a great start. Not so much popular now. I don't know how popular ESO is now, but I know somebody from the development staff of ESO said that their game was so successful it was funding other projects. I mentioned this the other day, says Omar. Many games are literally built on the back of Doom. COD, the Infinity Ward engine, it's literally a heavily modified ID Tech engine. Yeah, I don't know where COD stands now, but for years, Call of Duty was on the Quake engine. Yeah. For years, Call of Duty was on the Quake engine. It was such a good engine. These guys were, they're institutional giants. They are institutional giants. It's like, how many? I mean, I think it was like decades. I think it was like decades that they were using the Quake engine. Quake 3, again, Quake 3 Arena, the game I was playing in like 1999. Like, that game, it's like that engine still hanging around in many shapes and forms. It technically is still the Quake engine. It's been so heavily modified, I guess you could probably, it's like a Ship of Theseus thing, kind of a thing. Like, it could be, you could still probably find elements of the Quake engine in there. You know, like spawn furthest, spawn closest, stuff like that is still banging around in there. Okay, guys, I have a quick ad read. We have been sponsored by Marvel Rivals for the past hour or so. We had a channel skin running, okay? So, they really want you to know that you can have a lot of casual fun and play with your friends in Marvel Rivals. I know a lot of people look at Rivals, they think it's going to be like super sweaty. Now, Jubilee joins as a strategist. If you guys want to play as Jubilee, there's also all kinds of new skins and updates. I've kind of seen them all over the place. They've been a bit crazy. We're going to showcase the hero's gameplay here. I'm going to let you guys kind of take a look. They just announced her recently. And the addition of characters in Marvel Rivals has continued to be, I think, pretty impressive. So what we'll do is we'll look at the seasonal trailer, and we'll also look at the Jubilee trailer. So here she comes. Now, if you grew up like me watching the Uncanny X-Men, Jubilee was always not as exciting as some of the other characters, but with her being a strategist, I'm sure people will put her to good use. Her jacket actually looks really, really cool how they're animating that. I like that. So she's a little bit different than some of the other characters in the game. I guess that's true until Jubilee's swimsuit edition comes out. There's the thing out there. Okay, so this is the explosive firecracker. So she enters the battlefield with flying sparks. She's ready to ignite the battlefield with fireworks. And obviously, all the other things that Rivals is now known for. Her explosive personality. Oh, she's got some good crowd control. She's just bouncing them back up off the location. That was pretty good. Don't worry, the skins are coming. That's right. Yeah, her crowd control there is pretty good. I wonder how annoying that's going to be to play against. There you go, Marvel Rivals. Okay, so this is the season 9 trailer. They pushed this out 2 days ago. Marvel Rivals season 9. The Mystery of Thebes is the title. So if you guys are wanting to play, and thank you Sean Torius for 8 months. Little annoying that I have to manually do this every month because I keep forgetting to come over here and double dip with my Prime sub, but of course well deserved. Thank you so much for doing that. Let me get that up on the board here. There we go, 256. Mess with Jubilee, you got Logan to deal with? That's right. I'm hearing from chat, it came out yesterday, and it's great, okay? This segment is sponsored by Marvel Rivals. What game is this? So this is Marvel Rivals. It's basically it's adjacent to other sort of like hero shooters in the market, but it's definitely carved out its own niche, and people really like it. And they've just added Jubilee, as well as launched a new trailer. It's the 9th season. Apocalypse is seemingly coming into the frame now. He's journeyed across a collapsing timeline. Destiny drove him to collide with enemies old and new, but his faith deals a deadly hand. No one truly knows who can be trusted. So a storm builds as a single mother attempts to put together the pieces of what was left behind. Help her track down an even more impenetrable shadow looming over the newly uncovered murder mysteries. I gotta tell you, I think that this game would be ripe for like a co-op journey. You know what I mean? For a co-op journey. Oh, so here at the end, they're hinting somebody. Mutants, gods, Myra, no one beats the hood. There you go. So, hinting looks like at maybe some other characters coming in. And let me just make sure if there's anything else that they want us to make sure and highlight for you guys. Marvel Rivals is a hero team-based PvP shooter. Jubilee enters the fray. Let's see. Let me see. Did they actually highlight anything else? I'm not seeing them highlighting anything else. And if you guys were watching on Twitch, you also got drops. We had some drops. Going on, so you would have gotten those. So be sure to cash those in. We appreciate that so much. And again, this was sponsored by them. And it says here, storm the Avengers Tower on July 30th to battle Ultron's mechanical army in the epic Path to Doomsday mode. So it does sound like they've got something potentially PvE coming. I don't know if we have any other details on that, but July 30th, which is 20 days away, Ultron's mechanical army, the Path to Doomsday mode is coming. So I was addicted to Overwatch for the first year it was out, but since then I've grown to dislike hero shooters more and more. I mean, I think people kind of come and go and drift in and out of these games, which I think is totally fine. One of the best things to do with a game like this is, play it when you're having fun, take a break when you're not. That's probably a pretty good policy to maintain. I've always encouraged people to take breaks. If a game's not really jiving with you, take breaks. Don't just keep going and getting frustrated or what have you. So, all right. Appreciate them doing that sponsored segment. There we go. Let's see. We have an hour until the gaming roundtable. It looks like we're going to be, just a heads up, guys, it looks like there will be no Saturday stream this week. That is something that we do extra. I stream Monday through Friday. I also do uploads. I also do the roundtable. Just a very, very steady and heavy amount of content on the channel. I do an extra segment on Saturdays with my wife. We have her kind of react to the week's gaming news. When we hit 500, I'm not sure if people are forgetting to re-up or what have you, but we're basically at like barely half of that goal, which is unusual. So it could just be people are traveling, people are on trips, whatever. But we will not be doing that show tomorrow. I mean, obviously, you guys have worked miracles in the final hour of a show on Friday, so you have time, but probably not going to be happening. And they did do an update to the Adventures of Elliot. I responded to Genki about it. You can actually disable certain character voices, which I said, that's a great update, because Faye, the little fairy in the game, she can become a little bit annoying. I would have probably muted her if I had that option. I really enjoyed rolling credits on that game. And here is more confirmation that Dr. Sirkin Toto is a good resource and source on this topic. Jason Schreier actually breaks down the revenue for physical and digital, and he does it using that man's information. So the lies and the propaganda being spread about him, I get that. I get that people are upset, but we should not be spreading things that aren't true. What's on the talk? I think pretty much everything that's happened this week, like the physical thing and the Xbox layoffs, are probably the only two things we're even going to have time for. It's like a hour, sometimes hour and 15-minute show. Not a lot of time for anything other than those two things. So... Thoughts on Black Flag so far? I played it for 2 hours yesterday, roughly, and I really enjoyed it. And what's interesting is seeing people tweet about it and how they're glad that it's not like an RPG, and they're glad they can just kind of play through the story and enjoy it. It honestly makes me want to go back in and play it, because I was like, I don't know, guys, this is a pretty big game. But then people were like, Lono, the campaign's only about 25 to 30 hours long. And I'm like, oh, that's the perfect length for me. I do not like games that get beyond 25 or 30 hours unless I'm in love with the game. Like, I played, Yote for 60-something hours. I played Saros for 50 hours. Certain games I'm obviously going to put way more time into. But for the most part, you get to about your 25th hour, and I'm ready to be wrapping things up, right? So Ubisoft is rolling out an update that will fix cutscenes being locked at 30. They spoke to that being an update for PC. I don't know if they spoke to that update coming to console. Wired Rope says, what's funny is if you watch Jason's video on what E3 was originally, it was all about having retailers and game developers come together so they can talk numbers and plan out the next fiscal year of video games. All sides know what the cost is from shipping to production to storage, and they all want higher revenue. Yeah. Rope says, let's go. Let's go what? How long did it take you to beat the Elliot game? Somewhere between 15 to 17 hours. It's somewhere in there. I easily could have spent another 15 to 20 hours in the game clearing the map. I was straight lining. When I got to about the 12th hour, I started straight lining. I wasn't doing as much exploring because I wanted to finish, because I knew, I was like, the Doom DLC is coming and AC Black Flag is coming. And Adventures of Elliot was a huge and pleasant surprise. I was not expecting to like it as much as I did. I liked it even more once I realized you could switch your equipment for hitting right trigger. So I made sure to tell everybody, hey, you can switch equipment with right trigger. What is this? I genuinely wonder if any of Sony's partners have approached them about their choice on physical games has devalued their social media marketing, or if it's a situation any press is good press. Colin says, Sony's partners are amped that they won't have to print discs anymore and get paid substantially less than they would for a digital copy sold. So I suspect they're grateful Sony opened up the can of worms as is taking the brunt of the damage, even with the short-term ramifications. Yeah, I mean, Sony tweets about the Power World thing, and I'm just going to continue to say that Sony tweets Power World 1.0, Power World's done everybody a solid. They decided not to raise the price for 1.0. It's a $30 game. Everybody really loves it. Everybody really enjoys it. And then this is what you're going to do. I'm going to continue to say that this is reaching beyond reasonable response and expressing your frustration. I just think this ends up coming across very childish. It's like this has nothing to do with Power World. This has nothing to do with Pocket Pair and the team over there. I think people are going well beyond what looks like measured, good, like mature consumer response. It's just like you're just beating on every tweet that they say, and it isn't going to make a difference. Not only is the fight over, if you've done any research at all into why they made this decision, not only is the fight over, so your efforts are futile. While your efforts are futile, you're hijacking and taking it out on tweets that have nothing to do with the companies that are just excited to have their game marketed. Like, Power World's just excited to release 1.0, and having a PlayStation marketing arm is really nice. And you're just going to jump on every tweet and spam that. I just think it looks silly at this point. Ant Got No Games is going to gift a member. He's like, well, we could try. I mean, you're going to need everybody to gift a single at this point. Has Sony said anything since the Backlash? No, why would they? What is there to say? There's nothing for them to say. It was on the Mortal Shell release date trailer too, just constant we want physical, and the trailer shows physical for PS5. Yeah, a game that they can buy physical. Yeah, Erica, it's becoming so counterproductive because now you look like an immature, childish mob, which means no one's going to take you serious. It's like, I think your anger is justified. I get it. I don't like you having choice taken from you. I don't like your physical library being made redundant. I don't like that for you. But now you're looking like a childish mob. And Ginger says, well, if it just takes one from everybody, a single gifted from Ginger. I think people aren't thinking that retailers that sell new games will benefit from this too. Only places that sell used games are going to lose out here. How does a retailer benefit? I wonder. I'm not sure. I'm not tracking with why you think a retailer benefits from this. They seem to take everyone by surprise, even the devs. Of course they took everybody by surprise. Do you have any idea what would have happened if this leaked? They weren't going to let people know ahead of time. The minute you let a studio know ahead of time, it's leaked. It's leaked. It's in the hands of Tom Henderson or Grubb or Jason Schreier or Shinobi. Narwaffle gifts a single. Are you guys trying to get a single train all the way to 500? Everybody take their turn. The retailers are going to save space, save on shipping, save storage space, shelf space. Huh. I believe I stood up against PlayStation's malpractices correctly. I've deleted my wish list, canceled PS Plus, deleted the PlayStation app, and sold my PS5 Pro. I mean, if you're going to stand by your convictions to that degree, I respect it. Even though I don't think it's going to do anything, I respect it. You're standing by your convictions. Brigading tweets, I think, has just become kind of silly at this point. You're not doing that. You're saying you took action with your own money. Sal and Ant Got No Games each drop a single and get us to 261. You guys have 1 hour and 8 minutes to do this. If you want a Saturday stream with Madam, you better dig in. My personal take is, I appreciate your conviction and willingness to do that. I think you've cut your nose off to spite your face. You've damaged yourself more than PlayStation. You've damaged yourself more than PlayStation. What you did to PlayStation, that's a drop in the ocean. And now you don't have any of your stuff. I mean, again, I can respect the conviction, but I'm like, I feel like you cut your nose off to spite your face. It's like, I'm going to do this thing. And it's like, PlayStation's like, huh? What was that? Did you guys hear that? What was that? Was that a firecracker outside? Anyways, let's get back to making money. Like, I am not trying to diminish what you did. I'm just looking at it straight face and saying, why would you do that to yourself? Your entire library of PlayStation games, all those games and all those achievements, everything you've done, you're just going to throw it in the bin? But why? I don't understand why you would hurt yourself. I understand saying I don't want a PlayStation 6. That makes sense. You can ride this train until the wheels fall off and then be like, I'm not interested in a PlayStation 6. I don't know why you would do anything right now. You can game for the rest of the next probably 10 years and have a perfectly fine time. If you think a company sucks, throw it in the bin. I mean, even as critical as I've been of Xbox, I didn't get rid of my Series X. I canceled Game Pass when I felt like it got too expensive because I felt like that was a value judgment. I wasn't getting the value worth the purchase, so I canceled. But I didn't throw my Series X in the bin. It still has value in my home. I stand on business. They won't get 30% of game sales from me. They don't deserve any future money from me. Okay. I mean, you go. Go off, King. I don't know where you're going to game in the future. Omar says the thing he's missing is that someone picked that PS5 Pro up, activated PS Plus, made a wish list, and bought more games. I love the Backlash. I hope it goes on for forever. I mean, all you did was throw your old money away. Like I said, I appreciate the level of conviction if someone's going to go that far. But I feel like you, in the exchange, you've damaged yourself more than them. You threw everything out. Everything you've invested in is now gone. You didn't get a return on that investment. You lost on that deal. If anything, you let them get away with it by basically being like, well, I'm going to get no return on all the money that I spent. You would make a horrible protester? Are you talking to me? $2 from J Hart. I was going to try and build a PC, but it was $2,700. Could have sold it. I think he said he did sell it. All they need to do is come out and say that they're reevaluating their digital purchase and returns to better suit a digital market, and this goes away so fast. Real protests involve customers sacrificing. You clearly don't understand this. Yes, I'm talking to you. You're making assumptions about me, which is a huge error. You think I want to protest this. Why would I protest this? I'm not on your side. I'm not on your side. I don't think there's a reason to protest this. It's inevitable. Other companies are coming out quietly saying, yeah, we're not doing that anymore. There's no money in it. You guys are protesting and voicing your opinions, asking a company to take on increased cost. You don't know what you're asking for. Everyone's like, oh, it's greed, it's greed, it's greed. So is your position. Your position's motivated by greed. You want them to continue to spend money so that you can do the thing that you like doing. You're being greedy as well. Everybody's being greedy. You just think your greed is justified. We know this. You're shilling for PlayStation, basically. No, I'm not shilling for PlayStation. My argument would take power away from them. All you're doing is just throwing a tantrum and looking like a immature person. And now you're insulting me, which just shows the kind of person that you are. Instead of having a debate and a disagreement, you want to insult me. That's the kind of person that you are. You come in and within 3 lines you're insulting me because we don't agree. That's childish. I'm literally arguing for us to take power away from Sony. And you want to throw a tantrum on Twitter. We are not the same. And no, I'm not shilling for PlayStation. The irony is, you're giving them exactly what they want. A childish response that will result in nothing. You said that the dude who sold his PS5 is childish? No, I didn't. I said that he was cutting off his nose to spite his face. I didn't say that was childish. I said the way people are behaving on Twitter is childish. I have game collections on PC and Switch too. I don't believe I'm missing out on anything coming from PlayStation. This is more about me than every other PlayStation gamer. This is what I believe in. As I said, I feel like you're cutting off your nose to spite your face. You could have continued to engage with all of the stuff that you own without giving PlayStation any more money. You lost on the investment. You insinuated he was childish. So now you've insulted me and lied about what I said. You're really banging on all cylinders. I bet you're here in good faith. Within 3 lines and 5 minutes of following me on Twitch, you've said I was shilling for PlayStation, dismantled that, not true, and a lie. You said that I said what he did was childish, not true, and a lie. Why don't you go for 3? Just type another lie and save me the trouble so I can just ban you. Just go for the 3rd strikeout, brother. I'm literally arguing that we should take away power from PlayStation and give back true ownership to the players. That's not what PlayStation wants. You know what PlayStation wants? They want you throwing tantrums on Twitter because it'll do nothing. Homie, I had a sub. What's that matter? What, because you gave me $5 in the past, you can lie about me? Take a frickin' walk and take your $5 with you. I don't give a frick. You could give me $100 right now. It doesn't mean you can lie about me. Grow the frick up. I literally have not once said, this is fine, we should be okay with this. I've said, we shouldn't be okay with the way we're treated digitally. I've said this time and time again. I have a video on my channel that predates this situation, and I said we should be arguing for refunds. If you can take the license away, then I can give it back. This is why your channel's not growing. Both of my channels are growing, thanks. Nothing but green arrows over here, brother. I don't know what you're looking at. Listen, if you truly want to win, then that's how you win. You didn't hit the sub goal again? I mean, you're really going on a full tour here of looking pathetic. You're excited that I'm not hitting a goal? What are you, pocket watching now? Like, so you come in and you lie and you insult and now you're pocket watching. There's other ways to look like a pathetic individual, brother. I mean, you know what I'm saying? You're going all the way full. Adam King with 27 months and a member plus. You know what will always have a physical copy? My love for you. Stay golden. Thank you, Adam. And then Omar with 51 months says, I also have a sub. You come in and you insult, you lie, and you pocket watch. You're not even having dialogue. Like you're just a little child throwing around insults. You pocket watch a dude who sold his PS5. He willingly came in and told me what he did. Thank you, Siege, for the 5 bomb on YouTube. He came in and willingly told me what he did. And I said, I respect your conviction. I feel like you're cutting off your nose to spite your face. He didn't take any offense to what I said. I feel like you're throwing your investment in the trash. You had all those games. You had all that stuff. You could have continued to engage with those things and not give them any more money. And Charles Freeman with a 5 bomb on YouTube. Like, I didn't insult him. I didn't say that he was childish. I said, I feel like you threw away all your stuff and it's not going to do anything to PlayStation. My opinion, and I wasn't insulting or condescending to him at all. I said, my opinion is you are hurting yourself more than you're going to hurt PlayStation. Because you spent all that money and you had all that stuff. You threw it in the bin and they're not even going to know you did it. Echoed Payne with 21 months on Twitch. Thank you. Like, if you're upset about this, TRM with 51 months, thank you. And there it is, 275. I owe you guys a member. What would be hilarious is if we hit the goal with this guy in chat and a 5 bomb comes in from Hidden Siriu. You've rallied the troops. This has not gone the way that you thought it was going to go. A $5 super chat. Thank you so much, Cruz Massworks. He says, where Milo Xbox? Your bots are still waiting. I know what you're talking about. What is that? AC Gaming with 26 months. Thank you so much. So you're basically running defense for Sony by downplaying people having any effect. No. You're once again lying and repackaging what I'm saying. You're not an honest person. I don't know how difficult this is to understand. Thank you, Team Ambush, for a renewal, 35 months. I don't know why this is so hard to understand. This ship has sailed, and I think we should be fighting against PlayStation on a completely different battlefront. You're over here worried about discs. That fight's over. The globe, the industry, they're moving on. You can blame Sony all you want. This is happening. It's happening across the board. I'm saying we should be fighting them on a different front. We should have the right to refund. They currently don't give us that. They don't want to give us that. We currently don't own the stuff that we buy. They don't want to let us own it, and I think that we should. That's a fight worth fighting. You want to call names, and you want to lie, and you want to pocket watch. You can admit that you're a small person, like mentally, like, because you're not capturing the bigger picture here. You just want to throw around insults. You're not grappling with what's going on. Thank you, and Anubis God of Death with your Prime on purple. And Ant Got No Games renews for 58 months. And a $5 super chat from Hidden Series says, these people are representing your movement. Physical guys do better. Second Love with the gifted. Joker Quinn with the gifted. Transcendent Gaming with the gifted. And we're now at 287. I owe you guys a member. You can do all that while still wanting physical? Buddy, I have a PhD. Yeah, I bet. I bet you do. You've really shown that today. Predator with a gifted. And Ken Shiro with 18 months and gets us to 289. And a $5 super chat from ADJC. People who cancel their subscription to PS Plus will end up getting it again. It won't do anything considering the millions who are still on PS4. I mean, I think there are people who are canceling their PS Plus that won't resubscribe. But, like, here's the thing. I don't want physical because it doesn't do anything for me. Physical does not perpetuate any level of ownership for me at all. It's inconvenient, and it's a stay of execution. It's a stay of execution. Anthony with the renewal says, screw it, count it. We're at 290. And a 5-bomb from Ant Got No Games gets us to 295. Like, I was mid-typing that. What did Plus on Black say? Player hater degree. Yeah, that's his PhD. Jay Hart with a gift that gets us to 296. I'm not going to fight for physical. It's wasted effort. Jack Garland with a gifted gets us to 297. I'm going to give you the perfect parallel. When my basement was flooding in April of last year, okay, I was like an army general. I had to give up on certain fights and fight the fight that I could win. The unfinished side of my basement, I was never going to keep up with the water. There was more of it coming in that I could keep up with. My finished side of the basement, I had two cracks in the ground, and we put the shop vacs on those cracks, and every 30 minutes, my wife and I carried 200 pounds of water out of my basement. Now, why did I do that? I fought the fight that I could win. I would have wasted all of my energy. I would have gotten overly tired, and I never would have been able to keep up with the water. We stayed up all night, and we didn't sleep. Belly Boy with the Prime, thank you so much. Let me add it to the total. So I chose the fight that I could win, and my wife and I, like warriors, protected our basement, and we didn't have any long-lasting damage, which was good because we didn't have flood insurance, which I thought we did. Thank goodness we protected it, and now we have flood insurance. And a 5-bomb from Hustle Zone. We're at 303. Maybe we can do it. Garbage analogy? No, it's a perfectly good analogy. If I would have wasted all that energy trying to defend the side of the basement where it was a losing battle, I wouldn't have been able to protect this side over here. If we spend all of our energy on a fight that we're losing, we're going to gain no ground. We could right now garner everybody's energy, everybody's anger. It's like bottling the lightning. You're taking everybody's energy, and instead of focusing on physical, everybody could be focusing their energies on digital ownership. This energy will dissipate. It will. P. Dudley with 46 months. This moment will fade. It will. Your anger will subside. Your momentum will subside. You will lose the inertia of the public, and you're wasting it on physical. If everybody right now was signing petitions and adding their governors, their mayors, their presidents and saying, we are heading to digital only and we don't have digital ownership, you'd actually be making ground in a worthy fight. And instead, you're brigading tweets, you're lying about some doctor, making up claims, and misusing community notes. And you're going to achieve nothing. You're going to achieve nothing. You can insult me all you want. You can call me a shill, a pony. You can lie about me. It will do nothing. You will still, at the end of the day, have no true digital ownership, and the discs are still going to die. So go ahead, go off, King. Call me whatever you want. Pocket watch, make fun of me. Oh, you didn't hit your goal, whatever. It's not going to change anything. That's what Stop Killing Games is for. Stop Killing Games is not going to preserve or get us digital ownership or digital refunds. It won't. It won't. The Stop Killing Games is another effort. They're asking for too much. I think they're gonna get winsomely and soundly beat legally because they're asking for too much. I think asking for true, redefined definitions of digital products as goods and not licenses is the first line that we should be fighting. We should be saying, this is not a license, it's a product. And Siege with a gifted gets us 20 away from 325. Did I do the second one that I owe? I owe another one. I'm going to pay up for the 300. You guys are certainly making a run for this, which quieting the trolls with generosity is always funny. Stop Killing Games already failed. Yeah, I think they're asking for too much. I think Stop Killing Games has the right idea, and I think they're just asking for too much. You seem to really dislike gamers winning anything against corpos. You are once again demonstrating that you're a dishonest person, because I've said I'm trying to take power away from Sony. Right now, Sony's terms of service and their EULA gives them all the power, and I want to take that away from them. I want us to win back our ownership of digital items because we don't currently have it. Sony doesn't want that. You're not listening. It's willful ignorance and dishonesty at this point to consistently repackage my argument. You're a dishonest person. I judge you to be inept in the discussion as well as dishonest. David Houdat with 29 months. Thank you so much, getting us to 306. There is a genuine possibility that we can get digital ownership rights and protections as consumers, and the companies don't want it. There is a genuine possibility that we could get the right to refund these games on PlayStation. I hate PlayStation's handling of refunds. I've been heavily critical of it. You ain't gonna clip that, but people want to fight for physical and brigade tweets. You go right ahead. Keep wasting your energy. So you're a judge now? All men judge each other. I'm judging you by the same way I would judge myself. I don't lie about what other people say. I don't claim that they're things that they're not. I've not done that. You've demonstrated consistent pattern dishonesty and childishness in my chat. You came in within 3 lines, called me a shill. Vix Vapor, thanks so much for your prime. Appreciate it. There we go. Let me add it to the total. The refund policy on PSN is completely unacceptable. It's stupid. I've been consistently critical of that. It's awful. It's like you download the game and you don't even have to play it. You can have 0 minutes in the game and they're like, no, you downloaded it. You can't refund. And I understand why they do it. I do. I could install the game on my wife's PlayStation, unplug it from the internet, and you have no idea how long I've played it. But the one time I was trying to refund it within 30 minutes of buying it. It's like, I haven't even had time to do that. J. Chris with $5. Even if you have the game on disc, you still don't own it right now because they can go and change the software and make the game quit working. I've tried to tell them as well. I've tried to tell people that as well. They can completely update the operating system on the PlayStations. So when you buy a PlayStation 5 or a Pro or a 6, you can and the hype train's about to die, boys. Oh, I'm going to try and save it. Oh, not enough time. I don't think I made it. I tried to save the hype train for y'all over there. Tabasco, you got a gifted sub from me. We got 47 minutes if you guys want to keep the rally going. I'm going to keep paying the one that I owe every 25. In like 15 years, I've gotten one refund from PlayStation. Tried like 5 times. It's bad. It's bad. And if you get a refund from Xbox, I'm fairly certain you can only do the refunds from Xbox like every 60 days or 90 days or something like that. If they update the software in the future, they could sneak an update onto your PlayStation right now. So in the future, any discs you put in it, they can just be like, no, we decided that disc doesn't work anymore. And then you'd have to get a PlayStation on old firmware, old OS. They 100% can control all of this, which is exactly why you should be fighting for ownership rights and not pieces of plastic. I get it. I get why you want them. They're valuable to you. They're not valuable to me. That doesn't mean they're not valuable to you, but it's a fight that's not worth fighting. So what can we do? I got my collection and it sucks. I think expressing your anger is fair, and you should do it. I think brigading every tweet they put out and lying about that one guy, I think that's bad. I don't think that's productive. You're just making people not take it seriously. They're just looking at everybody like you're just everybody looks like a Karen, like a crybaby Karen on Twitter because you're just brigading every tweet that comes out. These people have marketing deals with Sony, and they're just trying to market their game, and you're like, F you, Sony. And it's like, okay, what are we doing here? It's just collateral damage at that point. Now, you've got to, I think you've got to come to grips with reality and live life on life's terms. This is happening. We can't stop it. You don't have to like it, by the way. You can still be angry, even though being like, yep, this is going forward. I'm not happy about it. Okay. If we're heading towards a digital future, then we need to be properly protected. Dude really said garbage analogy to the most spot-on analogy I've ever heard. Yeah, it's literally like in that moment, I only had so much time to battle the flood. I couldn't like delegate or deliberate or I had to make a decisive choice. And it's like right now, you guys could all make the choice to channel your energies because this is going to dissipate. This is going to go away. In 6 months, you guys aren't going to be doing this. A handful of you might, but a lot of you won't. People will move on. They're not going to do this every day on Twitter. They're not. Not to the same degree. The number of people doing this every day, it's just going to slope down. It's going to slope down. What about when it comes to removing content and censoring the game? With physical, I can get it back. I get fighting for digital purchase rights, but they're getting rid of the only way. So basically, don't fight for what you want, bend over and take it? No, that's not what I said. That's an intentionally like bad faith hyperbolic summary of what I just said. I did not say that. No. You have to accept when things are happening. That's part of being like an adult. You're like, this is happening. I don't like it. It sucks, but it's happening. And the best way that gamers can walk into a digital-only environment is to fight for digital ownership. Right now, half the time you want to get a AA game or an indie game, you're buying it digitally. Those guys can't afford physical, and you don't own that. So what? Are you going to turn your back on the entire AA and indie edifice of games because they're only ever doing digital? No, of course you're not going to do that. You're not going to do that. But if we support those studios and we buy their games, we don't own them. We have a license that can be taken away by the platform holder. That's the other problem here. I can go and buy some little indie studios game, have a ball with it, and have a good time with it, right? And Sony's standing in between me and actually owning it. I think that's a weak mentality. I mean, I don't really care what you think of the mentality. I think it's a logical position. Living life on life's terms is part of like mental health mantras and getting through bad things and getting through bad situations. You have to live life on life's terms. Who are they defaming? They're defaming the one guy. They're claiming false things about him. The one guy that commentated on this, he's an analyst, and they made false claims about him, claiming that he has like conflict of interest and he's going to make a bunch of money from this pivot. It's a flat out lie. They completely made it up. Can you speak to the cost of implementing a digital ownership system? Well, at one level, it's a legalese change. You would go into the TOS and the EULAs and you would change how these items are defined. And then you're stripping the company of the right to take it from you. That shouldn't cost anything. That shouldn't cost anything. That's a legal change. That's a right change. They're not allowed to do it. And the other thing that should be argued for is if they lose the license to something, like what happened recently with like the movies and the music that got ripped from people's libraries, that absolutely should not be happening. If it has to legally, if they agree to some contract and legally they simply must do that, they must remove those things from your library, you should be compensated as the consumer. That's another thing that should be involved here. And listen, if that causes financial harm to these companies, that's not on the consumer. The consumer should be protected. You should be able to buy a movie, you should be able to buy music, you should be able to buy a game, and they should not be able to take it from you. What's the point of the transaction? Logically speaking, what's the point of the transaction if they can just take it? It doesn't make any sense. What am I buying? What am I paying for? What's your position on the usage of the PS4 game sharing as being used to roast Sony? I don't know what you're referring to. Estimated cost of building a system to track ownership would be 30% additional for PlayStation according to AI. I don't believe AI has a clue what it's frickin' talking about, Tommy. Why they're already tracking it. What do you mean? They're already tracking it. Right now, when I boot up my PlayStation and I log in, all my stuff's there. They're already tracking it. What are you talking about? We're talking about definitional changes. Taking it away would be financial suicide, so they don't do that. I'm not sure what you're responding to. They literally, break that 30% down. What's the cost involved? They're already tracking my library. We're talking about a change in definition. It's like, it's no longer a revocable license. It's yours. We no longer have the ability to take it away from you. There are contract laws in like California for like agents because there were a lot of unjust contracts. This is literally an unjust contract law. Like it needs to be amended. The TOSs and the EULAs are unjust. It's stupid. It's like you have people buying stuff thinking they're buying something and they're not. They're buying a revocable license. Soy with an $8 super chat says, supermarkets seem to survive ownership even though they can't seize my pizza before I eat it. I'm sure Sony will find a way. Lone Wolf with 58 months and a member plus. Let's add it to the total. After extensive listening to Lono's point on digital versus physical, Lono is right. If we can buy someone else's debt, we should buy and own our games. What would your solution be, and what would you think is actually going to be the end solution? My solution is regulatory bodies coming in and saying, if you want to sell those products to our citizens, you will change how they're defined, or you will not sell here. You want to sell digital games? Fine. It's a product, and it's the consumers after they purchase it. It's not a license, and you can't revoke it. And you know what these companies are going to say? Okay, fine. Like, you want to sell in Europe? You want to sell in America? Then you define it as a digital product. It is something that I buy and I own. It's not a revocable license. You are stripping them of power. You're stripping them of a right. That's why people being like, you're shilling for Sony. I'm like, do you have any idea how upset Sony would be at this? PlayStation does not want this. Sony does not want this. But that's what the American government should do. That's what the European governing bodies should do. You want to sell here? This is how we define digital goods. This is how digital goods should be treated. Refundable within a reasonable amount of time, and the consumer owns it when they buy it. The buying part is the issue. With the increasing cost of games, you're really paying for the experience. Taking the license away for no serious reason, though, is the problem. But if the life of the game costs continued, resources is an issue. Now, I am not talking about live service games. I actually think that's a different category. You don't own those servers. That's different. I think when you go into a live service environment, it's completely fair and legitimate to have legalese and terms of service clearly stipulating this game is contingent upon our servers. You have no claim on that. You're not buying that. That is a service that we are providing for free. You buy the game, and we provide this service ongoing. And after 6 years, if we decide to shut the servers down, we have every right to do that. I think what Stop Killing Games is fighting for is completely unreasonable. I think asking some company to have servers going in perpetuity or to tell you when they start the game, when it's going to end, or that they should hand over proprietary information or any kind of security protocols or anything so that you can set up private servers, I just don't think we have a claim on that. I don't agree with that logically. I'm like, I don't think we have a claim on that. It's theirs. That's a service they're providing. You don't have to provide the download for forever, but you can't revoke. Yeah, the dilemma with ownership does mean it is contingent upon the servers, holding the game, for forever. Because, what are you going to do in 20 years if I want to download Tsushima? Well, it's got to be sitting somewhere. The academic who was defamed is anecdotal. That won't do anything to Sony. But massive responses to their marketing campaigns are legitimate. It's a literal response to a post by Sony. Oh, I'm not debating the legitimacy of it. I'm debating the efficacy of it, D-Tom. I'm not debating the legitimacy of it. Your feelings are legitimate. Your actions are whatever you want them to be. I'm talking about efficacy. I thought they were pushing for fan-run servers. Yes, which would require that company to literally hand the game over and be like, okay, here, we've set it up to where you can set up private servers. They have to create infrastructure for you to be able to do that. They have to create lines of code, and they have to build the game to be able to interface with private servers. That, I think, is undue. I don't think you can demand that of companies. I think I don't think Stop Killing Games is wrong. I think they're asking for too much. They're asking for so much, they're going to lose every time. Because companies are going to walk in and say, this is undue harm, this is increased cost. Here's a cascade of small to medium-sized companies that have made games with online aspects, and you cannot expect all these games to set everything up to run off of private servers. I use the game Far Far West as an example. There's cool little indie games and small games coming out with online components. Will Fair Games have a physical? I hope Fair Games doesn't even launch. I think we may differ on that. I understand the product going away. If you didn't archive it, that's on you. But I don't want others reaching into the archive that I did set up. Oh, no, I agree on that point. I don't think I've even remotely hinted at the fact that I think it's okay for them to take it away from you. Another question is, how do you strong-arm the ownership with the publishers? Do they want to make money? I think they want to make money. You want to sell your games here? Great. They're defined as a digital good that the person owns after they purchase it. You don't want to abide by that? You don't sell here. Good luck. Enjoy not selling your game in the biggest gaming markets. That's what I would say. You want to make money? Yeah? You like publishing those sports games that everybody buys? Great. You want to publish here. You want to sell your games here. It's a digital good. They own it. You can't take it away. If you can't abide by that, you can't sell here. Enjoy bankruptcy. That's what I would say. Like, they wanted to sell those loot boxes in some countries, and Europe said, you want to sell the loot boxes here? You got to put the percentages on there. And they did. Why? Because they want to make money. They don't want to leave these economies. You want to get kicked out of Europe and America as a gaming company? There's faster ways to close up shop. There's faster ways to close up shop. Just get kicked out of Europe and America, and we'll see how well you do. I guess you can tuck tail and run to like India and China, because those are certainly big economies with thriving with growing and thriving gaming revenue. But you want to get kicked out of the West? I mean, go right ahead. You're seeming to suggest that the part of the ownership is always having a copy available on someone else's server to download. I don't agree with that part. I think you'd have to set reasonable timelines, Zoob. You'd have to say, listen, for a minimum of 10 years, the game's got to be downloadable from your servers. I got to be able to go get it. If I can buy it and then like a year later. Crispy Bogod with 58 months in a VIP, adding it to the total. You guys have 30 minutes to scramble. I'd be curious to know how many times PlayStation has actually revoked licenses on games in the past. Guessing it's been minimal at best. They want to make money, not take away games and lose clients. It's not in their interest to do it, Crispy Bogod, and that's the only thing that's currently protecting us. I've said this to people before. I've told people, I don't think we necessarily have anything to fear because it's not in their interest. I still think we should be properly protected, and I still think we should be able to refund games. I can hold both things in my hand. Like, I'm not sitting here terrified they're going to nuke my library or ban me just because. I'm not scared of that. I don't think that that's in their interest to do. It would harm them to do that, right? It'd be mutual destruction at that point. But I still think we should be properly protected as consumers, and I still think we should have the right to refund. Those changes have to take a long time. Existing contracts are already in place and have to be honored. Sure. You'd have to give people a reasonable amount of time to change everything. You'd have to say, by year 7, all these games should be reclassified as a digital good that the person owns. By year 7, all these contracts should be up. You should be able to then, re-enter agreements, and you should be able to say, hey, these are all digital goods that the consumer owns. If there are certain games and there are certain deals that take a long time to get turned into this, so be it. So be it. I think digital rights are needed. I think a reasonable time window for refunds and reasonable time window for availability should exist. Yes, I think we should be able to refund within a couple of hours of playing, and we should be able to have the consumer assumption that this game is available for me to download because I own it. I should be able to download it from you within at least 10 years of the purchase. Beyond 10 years, I think it's understandable that if things change, servers deprecate, things go away, yeah, maybe I won't be able to go and get this game in 10 years. Just like you can't even be confident that a physical game's playable in 10 years because you just don't know if there's available drives, if all the motors have gone bad and all the lasers have gone bad. Within 10 years, you just never know. I mean, it happened with all other physical media. The things wear out, they're not available. Buying cassette players and things like that are extremely difficult to do now. New York City just passed a subscription consumer protection law. We need disc-to-digital tech. If next-gen consoles don't have a disc drive, I have over 200 PS4 and 5 discs. I ain't writing them off. That's another part of this that I don't mention as much, but I do agree with you, SDO. I think something should be done for people who have physical games. They should be provided with a way to preserve those in a way, whether it's to turn them to digital or let them use the existing drive that they bought for PlayStation 5 or what have you and let that interface with the PlayStation 6. Now, we can't force these companies to keep making drives for forever. Eventually, it's undue harm and they're paying for something to be made that no one's buying, right? You got to be careful with that. Like, you can't just argue, in perpetuity for forever. We all have access to this stuff, eternally. The EU cannot stop Sony and other developers from scrapping physical discs, says the EU commissioner. Butters of the VIP gets us to 310. If you guys can get us to 400, it usually steamrolls from there. If you guys can get us to 400, Sometimes the big boys land the plane. If you want Madam and I streaming tomorrow night, which you could watch us after you watch Norway and England, it would take 12 to 15 of us combining every piece of hardware we own to even load a single area of some of the games that we play. If we want offline games and games that do not require servers, we'd have to drastically change our expectations of games. The California Assembly Bill is a consumer protection law that prohibits sellers from advertising digital goods using words like buy or purchase unless they clearly disclose to the consumer that they're only purchasing a revocable license rather than a full unrestricted ownership. The law went into effect January 1 of 2025. It was introduced by Assembly member Jackie Irwin in response to consumers losing access to digital media they thought they owned, such as video game companies revoking licenses or streaming services removing movies. Can you rip PS5 games onto PC? I don't know. I'm sure people are figuring out ways to do it, but it's probably not very common. You'll be singing and dancing in the street after the England v. Norway match. It's going to be a good match, Hilly. I'll be happy with whoever wins. I like Kane and I like Holland. I think they're both good players. I'm happy with either outcome. 100 bits from Rope. Basically, you would need a nationalized system-like service so that whenever you make a digital purchase, you get emailed a license to access that storefront in perpetuity. Well, it's not just accessing the storefront. It needs to be housed on a server somewhere. It needs to be housed on a server somewhere. Like, the only real relationship is between me and PlayStation, if that's where the transaction takes place. That's the relationship. It's between me and PlayStation. I have an account with them. I have purchased the game. So as long as I maintain my account with them, as long as I maintain my account with them, I should, within a reasonable amount of time, I think 10 years is the minimum. It should probably be longer than 10 years, but within a minimum of 10 years, I should be able to download that game no problem. If it becomes unavailable due to server infrastructure or something, that's not the same as you taking it from me. If I've got it loaded on a hard drive beyond that 10-year period, I'm good to go. It's mine. You can't take it away from me. That's really the issue. It's like, yes, you need to be offering it for me to be downloadable. He was born in Leeds, England. Oh, I didn't know that. But me being able to download it within a certain amount of time, I think is reasonable. Because it's like, well, I need to access it. I need to be able to download it. I need to be able to play it. How else am I expected to interface with this? I got to be able to download it from somewhere, which means it needs to be housed somewhere. Have you seen Shinobi's post about the EU commissioner? Yes. You have to understand something. How would a regulator stop that? Imagine a regulator being like, no, you must continue to produce that product. Like, what the frick? We don't want regulators having that power. That would be insane. You have to keep making them. What? What do you mean? You're going to make us make the stuff? We're getting into bad territory, boys. Historically speaking, if you're a student of history, you do not want the government walking in and saying, you must continue to make that product, where you're getting into real bad territory. You do not want that. We are talking about protecting the consumer from having something taken away from them. That is different than saying you must comply and continue to make X product. These are completely different conversations. One is saying consumer gave you money for thing. They should be able to keep the thing. That's not the same as saying you need to continue producing the thing because we said so. It's going to kill us financially. People are going to lose their jobs. We're going to be bankrupt. We'll finance it. Oh, no. No, 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 no. No, we don't want to go down that road, boys. We don't. We don't. All right, 22 minutes and we're going to the round table. That's why it's effective to have a massive response to the company, because you don't need regulators in PlayStation just to make a 1-second decision for something 2 years in the future. Well, the reason I don't think responding to the tweets and lying about some guy and spreading falsehood about him and brigading marketing tweets for games that have nothing to do with this, the reason I don't think that is effective, is because number one, it's not going back. And number two, this is a point I haven't really made. You are reinforcing the idea that we don't own digital. You're just reinforcing it. You're creating this perpetual dichotomy of we own physical, we don't own digital. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Why would you be reinforcing that notion? You're also reinforcing the notion. I'll go one step further. You're reinforcing the notion and you're creating a stigma around digital-only games, which is bad for small studios and indie titles that can't afford to do physical. You're perpetuating a false dichotomy and you're perpetuating a stigma around digital by basically being like, you don't own it. And so AA studios and indie studios are like, what are you doing? You're going to make everybody think that digital is the devil. That's the only way we can sell our games. Moore's Law said it's being noticed, which is the first step. If it's the first step in digital protection rights, great. I don't think you're going to get them to reverse course on physical. I like Tom from Moore's Law is Dead, but I don't think he's correct in thinking that they're going to reverse course. I think too many things have been set in motion. Let's say that he's right and they reverse course. They're gonna do it anyway eventually. It's going to happen. You've done nothing to preserve ownership. You've just got a stay of execution. $5 from Dan. I rolled credits on Alan Wake 2 last night. Started mixtape earlier today before playing the Doom DLC. What a vibe mixtape is. Highly recommend. Thank you, Dan. Let me add you to the total. We are at 311. We need a national library for games. I mean, that would certainly be nice if the government came in and said, you know, we're going to enforce this, but we're also going to help to fund and create jobs, and we're going to create a national games database for preservation. I think that would be great. I think saying that digital media, you know, has become part and parcel to culture, and a lot of that media is a part of history itself. Whether it's old TV shows or old video games, these things ought to be preserved, and it could create jobs. You could literally create jobs because the manufacturing, the building, the warehousing, the maintenance, the running of a facility like that, you could literally create jobs, and in the process preserve an entire aspect of history that I believe is very important. We're gonna fast forward in 50 years, and we're gonna wish that we really worked on preserving these things, because they'll get lost. They'll be lost to time. I love that I can watch really old TV shows. My wife and I, we're taking a break from Hitchcock, and we're watching Beyond Belief, hosted by Jonathan Frakes, and we have a little contest every night to see who can get the most right. She's won 5 times. I've won 3 times. Right? Like is it real or fake, right? Now that's an old show that I think it's great that it's been preserved. That aired in the 90s. 5-3 down. Yeah, I'm down 5-3. Listen, I can come back in extra time, Hilly. I can come back in extra time, don't you worry. Why would you help fight for those who want digital when they don't want to help us fight for the option to have physical? I'm not willing to fight for physical because it's a lost cause. I'm fighting for digital because it protects you and me both. It protects both of us. Do you see? Like, I'm fighting for digital ownership and consumer protection. Why? I'm trying to tell everybody to go fight for that. I'm voicing that opinion. Why? Because it protects both of us. Quick, Lono, flop to get more time. That's right. I'm encouraging everybody to do that. Make your voices heard. Now, I have a friend who is very affluent and very wealthy, and he knows a lot of people in local government. And I'm planning to have a conversation with him about this. To say, who can you put me in touch with? I would love to have a conversation with them about how we can fight for digital ownership and digital preservation. I think this is a very important thing. It's something that I cover, it's something I'm familiar with. And there's this thing that happened with Sony. He knows all sorts of people in mayors, governors, and different people like that. And I'm like, I need you to introduce me to somebody who could potentially get me into the right pipeline of information to basically say, hey, this is happening and your citizens aren't protected. I haven't done that yet because I haven't seen him yet. I think I'll see him on Sunday. And I'm literally going to say, hey, who could you put me in contact with? I would love to have a conversation with somebody in a governing office to get some tiny ball rolling here. Whether that person puts me into contact with somebody else or gets me an email of somebody, just to start a conversation to say, hey, we need to be making moves right now because it's not going to be fast. It's going to take a long time. I don't think that they will reverse course on digital either, though. They don't have a choice if the government regulates it, brother. What do you mean? I'm confused on why you think they would have to change. Because the government could literally tell them. I don't see them changing unless the government steps in. Maybe you guys aren't understanding that that's what I'm saying. When I say we should fight for digital protection rights, I'm literally saying, stop talking to PlayStation. They're not on your side. PlayStation just wants your money. You need to talk to the government. You need to talk to governing bodies. You're wasting your breath. You're wasting your breath. I'm glad you said that. I was wondering how you were fighting. There's one person I know that could help me. I'm very busy, and I've got kiddos, and I've got a business I got to run. I can't be going downtown and knocking on doors and trying to figure out who I can talk to. I'm going to use my lines of communication and the people that I know to basically say, can you give me a warm introduction to somebody? I'd love to start a conversation about this. I think it's very, very important. That's the best I can do. I'm as busy as the next person. Like we can't flip our lives upside down to go and campaign for digital, protection rights. But I can certainly start something. I can certainly do what's within my reach and within my power. And I'm also using my platform, my YouTube channel, my Twitter, to make videos and to make commentary and to elevate people's thoughts on this and say you need to think differently about this. And listen, I'm not winning fans. That's the other thing you should see here. I'm not getting subscribers from this. People are leaving. They don't like my opinion on this. My video that I uploaded about stop fighting this fight, it's not helping me. It's probably hurting me. I made it. I stand by it. I'm not backing down. Going out and puffing your chest out and virtue signaling and brigading tweets, do you know what that does? That'll get you clicks and subs and likes, but is it going to do anything? No. You talk about self-interest. You're doing that out of self-interest. That's good for you. You're getting likes and tweets and impressions and subs and followers. The people that are like, well, this is a wasted fight. What are you doing? We should be fighting for digital protection rights. We're not winning anything by having that position. That's the thing, is like grifting on this would be super easy. You do the us versus them, you throw mythical they on the thumbnail, talk about how they are against us and they need to, they, and then you get a bunch of subs and you get a bunch of people angry and you don't achieve anything. $5 from Glassdoor Gamer. EU cannot stop Sony from stopping physical. New report suggests, everyone else is going to follow and go all digital. I tried to tell folks, it's like the ball's moving. The ball's moving, boys. Agree, disagree, academic not included. If you think it's effective, D-Tom, then, we'll see some change. If you think it's affected, I'm assuming that then we will see some change. We'll see movement. I don't think that we will. I think the Twitter brigading will die down. We will miss our moment to channel our energies. We will miss our moment, and at the end of this year, everybody's going to be playing GTA 6 and other digital games. Wicked says, I respect you for standing your ground. I've been doing the same thing. I see no problem with digital. I see a problem with consumer protections. I think two mistakes are being made. I do want to speak to both sides here. There are people that are like, oh, who cares? Why do you care about your stupid discs and your stupid plastic? I don't think that's helpful. I don't think that's productive. The other thing that I don't think is productive is passively reaffirming and reinforcing the notion that we don't own digital, we only own physical. You should not be reinforcing that notion. We should be saying that that's not a good thing and we should fight against that. I think both sides are making a mistake. The digital guys should not be denigrating the guys who want physical, and the physical guys should not be acting like, well, we're just going to continue to perpetuate the notion that you don't own anything on digital. It's like, why would you perpetuate that? We should be fighting against that. You're literally affirming it in your fight, by the way. I don't know if you guys realize that. A lot of you guys fighting for physical, you're reaffirming the lack of ownership of digital, and you shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't. That's not helpful. You should be fighting to say, we don't own. That's a problem. The loss of physical is just a symptom of the bigger problem. You're not treating the sickness. You're trying to treat a symptom. If they reverse course on physical, that's a win in the short term. I'd be very careful with that, D-Tom. I don't trust these companies. I don't trust PlayStation. If they reverse course, I'm telling you, what they'll do is they'll give you a disc, and there won't be jack squat on the disc. It will be a code. You'll put the disc in your PlayStation, and it'll be like, congratulations, this is your game, but we need to download the 32 gigs of the game. It's not on the disc. I do not trust these companies. They'll spin it, they'll contort it, and they'll have everybody convinced that they won, and they'll give you a disc with nothing on it. And if that's to you is a short-term victory, I'm here to tell you, you didn't do anything. You just got a digital version of the game that happens to be attached to a piece of plastic. I'm telling you, you're fighting the wrong fight. There is no way they go back on this and start putting the entire game on the disc. They're trying to minimize cost. The fastest way to minimize cost here, if they bend the knee and they're like, fine, we'll give you discs, there'll be nothing on the disc. And if you think that's a victory, boy, did they win in that exchange, because they've got everybody tricked at that point. I don't trust them. I don't trust them to handle it. They would 100% not give you the game. It'd be a code. I'd put money on the table. If they reverse course, I'd be like, it ain't gonna be the full game. Maybe they'll do that first party, but that's kind of a way around not being wrong for you. No. I'm not trying to not be wrong. D-Tom, I'm predicting what a company will do in efforts to protect profit. That's all I'm doing. That's one heck of a hypothetical? I don't think so. Look at how Rockstar and Strauss-Zelnick handled this situation, brother. They will redefine what physical is. You think it's a coincidence that Rockstar had Take-Two CEO Strauss-Zelnick's talking about physical, and then you got Rockstar talking about physical, and what were they talking about? There's not even a disc, brother. It's a jewel case. These guys, Rockstar's out here, Take-Two's out here, referring to a jewel case with a code as physical. Brother, I don't trust these companies. If they throw it in reverse, it'll be a disc and the game won't be on it. I would bet dollars to donuts that's what they do. If they reverse course, it'll be temporary. Look at what Nintendo and their weirdo physical games, it's happening. Yeah, we've already got an example of the keycard thing with Nintendo. I'm telling you, I don't trust these companies. One of the reasons I don't think people understand why I'm not defending Sony is because I'm literally admitting full-faced here. They're just going for the money, boys. That's That's why you won't stop them. Because they don't like you. They just want your money. They want your customer lifetime value to go up. And a great way for your customer lifetime value to go up is to get you to buy things digitally, because they make more money on you that way. That's not shilling. That's literally saying that all they care about is money. $2 from Glassdoor. Capcom talks a lot about their digital direction. Yeah, Capcom sells most copies on PC, and that's all digital only. It's a bummer. It's a bummer. It's not a good thing. But to me, that's just my honest read of it. My honest read of it is you're not going back. You're not going back. All these companies care about is money. So even if you get them to bend the knee, they're going to structure it in a way where they make more money. They're not going to do this because they like you. They don't care about your physical collection. They don't. They don't. It's better for them if you don't have a physical collection. It puts them in more control. It puts them in more power. Like, this is 100% a profit margin play. People are like, they want power and control. And I'm like, yeah, kind of. It's more about the margins. It's more about the cost, which is another way to say they want power. But primarily, this is about the margins. This is about profit. This has nothing to do with like them being anti-consumer or hating you or they're against you. No, they're not against you. They're just really, really in favor of profit. They always have been. This isn't new, boys. This isn't new, boys. I know it's a bummer. I know it's a bummer. I'm not going to pretend that it isn't. All right, 5 minutes. Okay, so here's the deal. I don't think we're hitting the goal in 5 minutes unless every big boy in the world comes in and starts dropping 50 bombs or 100 bombs or something like that, okay? Which, I mean, we've had people do that, but here's the deal. In 5 minutes, we're going over to the round table with Ginger, okay? I don't do green rooms on Friday. It doesn't work with my schedule, okay? It doesn't line up. So, no stream Saturday unless you guys pull out a miracle. You guys were trying to make that one troll mad, but I banned the troll and we stopped, so, which is fine. So no stream tomorrow night unless something crazy happens in the next 4 minutes. I'm going to provide you guys with a link over here on YouTube. I'll also redirect you. And then you guys on Twitch, we will do a raid, okay? I'll do a raid, and you can go over and watch on Twitch. You can watch in both places. Ginger does stream in both places. So if you want to stay connected to the community, that's a great reason to become a member. This goal is a lot easier to hit every week if people start picking up their own memberships. We rely too heavily on gifteds. So that's why when we get to this point of the week, it's like, I'm not going to sit here and browbeat and be like, oh my gosh, we got to hit the goal. If we don't hit it, we don't hit it, right? But this becomes an almost guaranteed thing every week if more people are paying for their own memberships, because renewals count. Like, your $5 goes a long way. Like, you're always adding to that total. So I've continued to try to cast that vision. People that listen, lurk, and watch every day of the week, that $5 for a membership goes a long way, because you can celebrate that renewal, and then every week hitting 500 becomes just a normal thing. But when we have to rely on big gifters, you're making it contingent on just a couple of people. Like, 5 to 10 people are sometimes the difference between that stream happening and not happening, okay? So if you cannot afford a membership, I totally understand. I gift every 25. The people here are also gifting on a very regular basis. So if you hang out on a regular basis, you have a chance of getting a gifted. So, yeah, it adds once a month. So currently, we've always, for whatever reason, we stall out. Like 500 something people pay for their own membership, and we just kind of hang out there. If that number was, 1,000 people were paying for their own membership, we would hit this every week on renewals, because there would always be people in the mix renewing every single week. There would just be more. So if you don't catch that vision, That's how streams like this and that's how people like this continue. That's how I continue to do stuff like this. If that's a continual vision that just is not met, then that's just kind of how we're going to have to, analyze the weekly incentives and the weekly goals. Never happened they could lower the cost of digital if they're going to ditch physical. Well, they're not going to do that. They're not going to lower the cost of digital. They're literally doing this because the margins on digital are better. So they're not going to cancel physical and then actively work against their margins on digital. So okay, let me get ready to send you guys over there. Because if we can get over there a little bit early, I can run upstairs and take a break, and then they're not, waiting on me. All right, there's a link in chat for you guys on... Ginger Prime TV. Okay, we're going to raid on Twitch. Link in chat. Sean Torres with 10 months. Thank you so much. Remember, for 10 months, almost a year. I think Jason's video about physical reinforced what you're saying. Thank you. Yeah, people will repackage everything I say and say I'm shilling for Sony and defending Sony, but everybody that's actually looking at the numbers and the business side of this is saying the same thing. They're just they're really popular and really well known, so none of these cowards will take shots at them. They'll come after me because I'm much smaller, and that's why they do it. They pick on smaller creators because they're cowards. They'll never go after the big boys. They don't want that heat. They don't have the guts to go after big influential people that actually know. I'm not saying anything that's out of step with what the people that understand the business aspects are saying. So make sure and hit that like button. Make sure and hit it. Let's try to get some likes on our way out. I'll see you guys over there on the round table. All right, click that link in chat, and I'll also redirect you.